Tonight on the show, Angus will be Sean.
Really?
Oh God!
I have a picnic basket.
I would say I'm a broadcast professional.
Oh my God. It's Jennifer Lawrence.
Correct! Anyone can make that face.
No, but I don't have that when I have a beard.
Oh, baby. I went here.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. No, it's great. Oh, fuck you. This is the wrong one. That's what we wanted, right?
Come on.
Here we go.
There's a little reference to the news.
I was going to say, tell me the mics were live for the fuck.
They weren't here for the Here We Go, no.
Right, okay. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Back Pocket for Thursday, the 19th of November. Oh my goodness, it's good to be back on the Back Pocket. I'm your host, Nick Boy Richardson. Tonight on the show, it's out with the old gen and in with the new because we are about all games all night. Stephanie, Peter, have you both forgotten how to do internet television?
It's been 2 weeks.
Right.
I've forgotten it all.
I just forgot to turn the volume off my phone, but I want to read the chat because I've missed everyone so much.
Make it
Have missed
save.
everyone so much, and we're excited to be back. I can't be back by myself, though, so I am joined by...
Gus, who is now 5 years younger and about 2 kilos lighter, thanks to the hair I've lost. Very nice.
Oh, and Steph, who has forgotten how to use her phone, apparently.
And Peter, who's been raiding Gus's wardrobe again. Beige, anyone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very just...
I'm sandwiched between two, neutral putty bearded men.
Putty bearded
Putty.
men. We thought as
You would call this colour putty.
Oh, it's definitely
that's a putty.
Yeah, putty and clay?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which I think clay is just adult putty.
Adult putty is something entirely different.
You know what?
Talk about that later.
Don't Google. In fact,
Google
no,
it.
do Google. I'm going to Google adult putty and see what comes
Puce.
up.
Puce, says Phoenix O'Line.
Oh, very nice.
True.
Yeah, let's go with that. Adult putty, not
You
look up adult putty or puce.
You don't want to look at that. What were you going to say?
Nothing. I think that basically, we thought we couldn't get more generic as white, brown, bearded guys.
At least
So,
there was
let's-
a differentiator before with the beard.
Yeah.
Now it's just identical.
Who's who? I mean, you've grown perfect. Yours is all back. Coming back. That was damn quick, actually. Coming back.
The reason, of course, that we shaved the boy is because we wanted to raise money for charity during Movember, and we did. We raised $3,000 that night. It was a phenomenal night. The charity and the donation drive obviously is still going on. And there is a link in the chat right now. Fantastic. I didn't even check that. But there is a link there for you to go and donate if you can, if you haven't, if you want to. All the funds for this year's Movember are going towards men's mental health, which is something obviously this year, more than ever, is important. But even without the Nightmare Year, it's important all the time. So thank you very much to everyone who donated so far. And thank you to you who have yet to. But tonight are you know what? Gus does deserve some money donated in his name for what he did 2 weeks ago.
Well, here's the thing. We're still in November. We're still in Movember. There's still at least a week and a half to go, I believe.
Yeah.
Peter's been shaved.
Have
I? I've been shaved.
Yeah, I have, haven't I?
Stephanie. Nick?
Lasers.
I do. I can't.
Blokes? Have we been sorry?
Post show?
Point is,
Can I thread your eyebrows?
oh God.
I've never done that.
I know, neither have
But
I.
if I was going to get them threaded, I'd like to go to a professional, please.
All right, coward.
Where that was going, obviously, was that we have a little bit time left in the month, and someone hasn't done anything with their facial hair.
That's true. You want it? You can do whatever you want to me, baby.
All right, I'll need suggestions, but I mean, you're so open to it. That's what throws me off.
I know,
that's your defense.
it's less
your defense
fun
is to be like, I told you could do anything you wanted, and you didn't shave me.
I insist. I insist.
Stop doubling down.
I'm going to tie you down and make you shave me.
This has gotten a power struggle has changed.
It has indeed, but we are excited to be back tonight. It's all about video games. We want to hear from you guys as well. So we're going to be talking about all the new games that have come out, the new consoles and everything. If you guys have been playing the games that we've been playing, we want you to call in for the big discussion topics. You'll know them when they come up, but we want to hear all your opinions about what's been going on. Before we get to that, a couple of housekeepings, because obviously it's been a couple of weeks since we last saw you. We did the Voyage to Valhalla stream last week, which was a ton of fun. The set was entirely transformed into the Viking Feast Hall.
Everyone got into the spirit with costumes and
Exciting.
makeup, and Jordan had a Bluetooth symbol on her face.
Yeah.
Ruined that question.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
There are bits and pieces of assassins sitting around us.
Yeah,
Because-
That's
I mean,
right.
you wouldn't
Yeah.
know,
That's
you
all
wouldn't
that's
know it
left.
was even here,
Yeah.
based on the fact that it's all back together. But
Yeah.
we've still got bits of
This
timber.
used to all be pig farms.
But yeah, that's a good point. If anyone from Ubisoft is watching, come pick up your shit. But we also are excited because we want to let you know about the PlayStation Plus games for the PlayStation Plus Plays Challenge for this month. That is Ghost of Tsushima Legends is the challenge for this month, where PlayStation want to see your most intense battle in Legends mode, the new mode that was released for free for Ghost. The winner of that competition will get themselves a collector's edition of the game, a very cool mask, plus a PS Plus Plays Champions merch pack as well. The bonus games for the PS Plus this month are Middle-earth: Shadow of War, Hollow Knight, Void Heart Edition, as well as Bugsnax for PS5. These
game.
are
That's a lot of good games.
good games.
Very good.
Hollow Knight in particular, one of those games that I totally slept on, and then just was like, have you played it yet?
I played a lot of it, and then I put it down for too long. And it's hard to come back to, but it is just, everything about that game is wonderful.
You can't.
But yeah, art style, made in Adelaide.
By two people.
Two people.
Two putty boys.
We haven't even come close to making anything.
Yeah, our games are shit. Terrible. So all the participants from each month's monthly challenge as well, when you enter the PS Plus Plays Challenge, go into the draw for the grand prize at the end of the year, and that grand prize is, for the winner, a brand new Sony 4K HDR TV, a $350 voucher to spend on the PlayStation Store, 12-month subscription to PlayStation Plus, and a gold DualShock 4. And then, for 3 of your friends, they each get a $100 voucher to spend on the store, the gold DualShock, 12-month subscription to PlayStation Plus, and that's going to be drawn on January 15th next year. So there's a reason to enter beyond just the cool mask.
I did this last time because I wanted to clarify what the prize was.
Please.
It's not a gold controller, right? Because that's impractical and too expensive.
Yeah. I think it would...
It's soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, too pliable.
Yeah.
Gaming Rage, Steph's like,
You'd squeeze.
you're an idiot.
What if it was like...
It's gold bullion, the prize.
I'll grab my controller. That's a real gold. Like, it could
Be rich.
could be gold plated. Could have
This is white gold.
could have they're worth as much. It could be gold flaking that stuff that's got
stuff you
real,
eat?
and
Gold
then they've
leaf.
got gold
Stuff you
leaf.
eat.
Yeah, you eat gold leaf. Yeah,
Yeah.
You
Put on
can.
brownies.
There is a version of gold leaf that is edible. Yeah.
there you go. And it could have had a plastic coating. It could have some gold in it. It's just coloured gold, right?
I believe
You're a
so.
strain. So thank you very much to PlayStation for sponsoring this episode with the Plus Plays competition. The final thing I wanted to say, and this is a personal thing, I owe someone a dance.
What?
Because, yesterday, Peter he ordered that
That's right.
380.
Yeah.
Right? He ordered a 380, pre-ordered the 380.
Oh, I saw your call out on Twitter.
Yeah, and then he got a 390 instead.
Yeah.
And so good for him. And I was like, I really should have pre-ordered the 380. And I put a call out on Twitter and said, if anyone sees one out in the wild, let me know and I'll see if I can get one. And then I said,
Well, then that was the thing. You had to add your little Nick Boy flavor on the end of that
didn't
tweet
I?
because it was too demanding. You need to have a little fun with that. So you wrote something.
that's
along
so
the
true.
lines of,
I had to do that, didn't I?
Yeah.
And it was, I'll get the tweet right here. If anyone spots an RTX 3080 out in the wild, for the love of God, DM me. After you get yours, I'll do whatever you want. You want me to dance? I'll dance for you. Is this making you happy? And then Turner 23 sent me a link to a Reddit post that was basically just like
I
updating.
love that it was a Reddit post.
Yeah, totally. It was basically just updating like Australian PC sellers, and people just post when they have new
Wow.
30 series.
Yeah.
And so someone posted one and said, this is up on whatever the supplier was. And then the next person, so I'm refreshing that page for a couple of hours. This post comes up and the next person goes, already sold out. And I was like, oh, damn. I'll just check. And I go to the site and there's one left. And I've never bought anything.
Like somebody added to cart and then like bailed out on it maybe.
Totally.
Yeah, right.
And I have
I'm
never
down.
ordered anything so blindly in my life. I just kind of like went add to cart, smashed in credit card details, and just hit enter.
That's
I was wondering if
that's,
you're like,
that's
business
every
card
purchase for me.
You've got like the ticking clock. So you're like, yeah, shipping is the same as billing. Okay, go. It's
Totally.
like-
That was me when I purchased those ridiculous Destiny 2 boots and t-shirt and Christmas decorations, which
my
will be
word.
arriving
What?
very soon.
Did you get the boots?
I got the boots.
Oh, I want the boots so much. Oh, that's so good. But yeah, and it's totally that thing where I just smashed it and then it said approved. And then afterwards I went, that was a 3080, right? Like, I didn't just buy a 2080 like a fucking, like someone who buys the PS4 when like they didn't mean to buy. So, but it was. And then I got a notification today saying it's shipped and it'll be here tomorrow. Like, I don't know, scarcity apparently, but I got mine. And so now I owe Turner a dance.
That was happening with people on PS5s and stuff though as well. It's just been a wild west of
People with
pre-ordering and
Absolutely.
purching out there, and you get lucky if you're.
Hang on,
you
shall I
know,
get
It's
you-
one of
Wait.
these dances.
like this.
Excuse me.
No music?
Oh yeah, we need a bit of music.
I mean, something.
It's awkward. It's awkward without.
Wait, but I'm
It's awkward
this is a much
regardless.
longer dance than-
Why is the dance so thrust?
Why is it
focused?
directed over here? Directed that way. That's
That's good.
That's better.
From this angle, it's very erotic. Can I just say?
No. Don't look happy. You don't want to do this. Is this like your modern interpretation of a floss?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Woo! Now it's a bit chorus line. I like it.
Bucket of water. There it is.
Yes, splash dance.
very much, Turner. I appreciate everything that you did for me.
Nice.
Thank you.
So while Pete resets quickly, my really lame version of that is I replaced the ear cups and foam on my SteelSeries headset because they were just like, it was every time I took it off, there was a piece left in my ear, like the foam cupping and the...
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, I finally bought it. It was a little more expensive than I thought. I'm like, this is a purchase that I should make and I should buy another pair. So I've got... For when these ones wear out, I don't have to then buy
Oh, I
another
do
one.
that sometimes. Backstock.
I thought about it. I was like, I won't do that. I must have filled my cart twice.
You got 4 of them.
Before.
Yes.
So I got one, I put them in, I was like, this was great. They feel like new headphones. Next day, knock, knock. Amazon here, I'm like, oh, hi. And 2 of them turned up. I'm like, oh, they've mucked it up. I've got free headphones. Ran to my computer, looked at my purchasing order. I'm like, oh shit, there were 4 in the cart for like $50 each.
I mucked it up.
I mucked it up, yeah.
Good. So thank you very much, Turner. I hope you enjoyed your dance, and thank you very much to whatever that random PC place is that I'm sure are just going to send me an empty box with some rocks in it. But I look forward to getting your box of rocks. All right.
There you go.
Speaking of rocks, let's get our rocks off because there's been a ton of games coming out. Oh my goodness. Let's
with
dive
that.
right into it with what you've been playing, because I think we've all been playing a lot of games. I'm just saying what you've all been playing. Brought to you by Brent Jones, aka Loki Cat, aka someone we are going to be seeing a little more of
Yeah.
later in the program, I believe.
An expose, if you will.
I would say so. I think
Yeah.
that that's the tease that we can give.
And if they're getting excited about that, don't.
Temper those claws, Loki Cat, because this is a full-throated takedown. So we are excited to hear more, well, not from Loki Cat, but certainly see more of Loki Cat.
About Loki.
And about Loki
Yeah,
Cat.
we're gonna learn some
Yeah.
things.
The new consoles have come out. All the games are here. The hell month that was November has arrived and is arguably almost over.
I like that your hell is a surplus of great hardware and software.
Given to me mostly for free.
Oh god, it's hellish.
It's just the anxiety that comes with trying to play everything.
totally.
It's also because you can't like savor any of it.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
No.
It's like
Yeah.
burn through everything as fast as you possibly can so we can talk about it.
Have
so that it
opinions
could
on
be
it
part of
as
the
well.
Discord.
Yeah.
Exactly. But let's start off with the consoles then, because that's a lot of what we've been playing on. Between all of us, we have both consoles. Let's start with the Xbox. And first impressions, how we feeling about this big square thing?
It is big and it is rectangular.
Yeah, it's cool. I feel like it's like still hard to get excited about games on it until like super next gen.
There are no games on it still.
That's what I mean. So as an experience, it's like I'm like, oh, this looks really nice. And then I'm like, does it look better? Or do I just think it does?
I really do think that every time you buy a console, it should be sold with a small television that you can hook your second console, your old console up to.
The side by side.
And do side by sides. Because, it's certainly.
Without the like Halo thing that they did where you can wipe
That's right,
between
yeah.
the two, it's really hard to get that immediate feedback of like, oh, this looks so great. But, you know, I'm glad that I have it in that, you know, when games, like when Cyberpunk comes out, I'm going to play it on the console.
Oh, you're going to play it on the Xbox?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why that?
I guess for like big, long RPGs, I tend to want to be on the couch. So I spend more time there and I like to just kind of fully dig in to the sofa and like not move.
Yeah.
And as you know, the PlayStation 5 needs its own room. So you can't have that in the same room.
Yeah, well, we've put both of ours behind the TV because I just was at a loss.
Welcome to the clan.
This one doesn't fit inside our TV unit, and that one does not blend with my woodland cabin aesthetic, to say the least. So it draws too much attention to itself with the white. So we both I was like, hide them from me.
I was saying this to, I think, Pete on Wednesday. I'm amazed at how quiet it is. It is dead silent. I'm also amazed at how much heat it puts out.
Yeah.
It is blazing hot.
It's all at the top?
It's all top heat.
Well, I mean, there is venting at the bottom and back, but it's like, it's mainly the fan pumping it up
I mean,
top.
even if it did fit in the TV cabinet, people are saying you shouldn't put them there.
No.
Yeah,
because
right.
I was talking to a camera guy a couple of days ago who said he had bought one and it was just switching off. Because he had it in his TV unit.
Yeah,
it was just overheating.
And the funny thing there is it's also that element of like, you have people with older consoles who put them in a confined space and do the wrong thing, which is like it butts up against something and you've got no ventilation, versus there's this idea now that you can't even put that in a cavity space that doesn't have enough of the air movement as well, which I was getting with my PS4.
Yeah.
I had to like carve the back out of my cabinet just because I put my hand in the cavity afterwards and be like, the whole thing in here is just like a sauna. And I imagine that's doing the same thing.
We really need to be thinking about them as just small PCs.
Totally.
Now. If you wouldn't put your PC in a TV unit, then you should.
Don't put your console anywhere you wouldn't put a PC. Dazzy86 says it sucks from the bottom and blows from the top. So it's you in the conversation we had just before we went to air. The thing that I think is fantastic about fantastic about this. And like you said, when the games come, and in a couple of years' time, we are going to see just a flood of titles because of all the studios that Microsoft have. So in a couple of years' time, this is going to be an amazing, amazing console. But the smart delivery, which was this sort of like hype that they've built up and constantly talking about the smart delivery of these titles, I took for granted as just being like, sure, yeah, how hard is it for a console to just put the right copy of a game on my hard drive? The answer is, it's very hard, isn't it? And so I am very impressed at how the Xbox Series X just knows I'm on a Series X and I want the Series X version of the game that I have a license to. Install that game.
Does it not just cull your library when you go into My Game Library and go, here are the ones that are optimized for this?
No, because everything can play on it except for like 12 games or something. But it's about, it knows which one to download is the actual problem. Because it doesn't want to bifurcate your library by going, oh, you can't, to some people to think like, oh, I couldn't play it on this, right, Pete?
Yeah, totally. And like, there actually have been problems. I think COD was a problem on the Xbox.
Installing
because there were two versions of it.
Right.
And it was like you pay an extra $10 for the Series XS version of it or whatever.
Right.
Which was causing some headaches. And I know PlayStation's had some similar things with Spider-Man. It installs both versions and then doesn't know which version it wants to run.
Oh, God.
And it freaks out the console. So that's driver software bugs, like stuff that's going to get patched out, obviously. But it's like, and we're in week 1.5 of these console launches. It's like, that's stuff that people who manage to get their hands on one of these things, I'm sure are fine suffering through for the moment, knowing that it's all going to get cleaned up. The thing I would say about the Xbox, before we move on to the PlayStation, I know you want to talk about the Xbox as well, but the experience of booting it up is underwhelming because of how easy it is and how much it feels like an iterative version of an Xbox.
Yeah, right.
We went from Xbox One to One X, and there was UI improvements and hardware improvements, and it was seamless. Going from One X to Series X, same thing. Really seamless, like a really easy process of setting it up.
Yeah, totally.
And then it's like, oh, I'm kind of just looking at the Xbox One X
Well,
dashboard.
there was a UI.
Yes, there are some improvements
There was a UI update
for the One as well.
for like a month ago or something. That
Yeah.
was then this format. So you'd been familiarizing yourself with that for the best part of a month before you're like, here's the new stuff.
Yeah.
It's the exact same.
So it's kind of
we
like the same experience I had putting my 3090 on my computer yesterday, which was like, it boots.
Yep. Yep. This is
My
Chrome.
desktop. So it's like without any exclusive title to play on it, it feels like
You need a bit.
yeah, it's just a better iterative version of the thing that I have. And the only thing I've played on is Banjo-Kazooie through the 360 emulator,
boy.
playing the title that was.
I mean,
Arguably the greatest animal protagonist in a video game.
I think
Yeah,
it's not even
quite
arguable. It's like there was a rank.
It's inarguable.
I think there's some things arguable about that, but I don't think it was that.
I've installed Assassin's Creed on it. I'm excited to play.
I played. That's what I started playing Assassin's Creed
Right.
on.
Okay.
Was on that, and it played beautifully. It looks. I have one more thing, but I'll go to you.
No, I was just going to say, do you remember the days when like old PCs with graphics cards had those benchmark tests that you just run and leave on your computer to
Yeah.
be like, look what it can do? And I'm like, I feel like we need that still. Like when you get your new console, it needs that experience that's kind of like VR does it now. It's like, hey, here's what you can do in it. You need that just walk through a cool world that just uses every
Well, they totally
inch
exist on
of its
PC, and I think even
Like the demo mode of a Samsung TV or something.
I'm pretty sure the Assassin's Creed Valhalla on PC has a benchmarking tool built in.
It does.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's like, give me that on the console.
But often
It needs an Astro's playroom. of
Yes,
just
yes,
like
a
this is. Look at all the
pre-install.
shit that this controller can
Goes
do.
straight
Yeah,
into
yeah.
it.
Look at all the stuff that only Sony are going to do.
Look how smart the delivery was.
Yeah.
Okay.
the thing that I personally am appreciating about this, I'm a specific use case, but I'm not that specific, is that I'm running this on my monitor. My monitor is 1440p. It runs natively at 1440p, and this goes 4K, downscales to 1080p, and then upscales to 1440. So I'm finding that that's looking a little sharper on my monitor than
right.
the PS5 is.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, the jump from 1080 to 1440, I was like, oh yeah, I can actually tell the difference there. Like, I'm now going to buy a 4K monitor because I know I'm missing things.
4K widescreen, hard to find. I don't think
I'm not
possible.
going widescreen.
I'm sold on wide. I can't go back.
No, me too, but it won't support widescreen.
Yeah, sorry.
I
the console.
plugged it into
Yeah,
my
yeah.
widescreen
But you-
monitor and it won't do it. So I've got my...
You're about to get a 3080.
No,
tomorrow.
No, shut your
Okay,
fucking mouth.
then
I'm keeping the widescreen because I'm not a fucking idiot. And then I've got the other $1,500 monitors
Just
next
for the
to it that's
console,
69. That's
plugged
just for the
into that.
consoles.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you can get good cheap 4K monitors.
Yeah, they're like $500
perfect.
or something. I'm just waiting for ones that support HDMI 2.1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So there you go. That's my very privileged life. So that's the Xbox. PlayStation. So let me start off with the one.
There are actually things to play.
Yes, totally. The one bad thing for me that just linked to that was the smart delivery. I was very excited to get this. I booted it up. I was like, oh, look at the new UI and blah, blah, blah. And then I started downloading Assassin's Creed because that's what I was already playing on that.
Sure.
And it downloaded and I booted it up. I'm like, oh, this doesn't look that much different. And then I kept going. I was like, this really doesn't look different than the stuff or as good as that. Sorry.
Like looking for.
Yeah, I was looking for rays and shit.
on.
Like, and then I went back and on the home menu there was a little thing that said get the PS5 version. I was like, I have the PS5 version, and you actually need to go and select it and like add it to your account, and then it goes, cool. Now you have the PS5 version. It's free, and it's like you need to buy the upgrade, and then it downloads it. So I had accidentally downloaded the PS4 version, and I was like, how do you not know what you are? How do you know? How are you having an identity crisis? And then I downloaded Call of Duty. And the same thing happened. It downloaded 2 versions of a 120 gig game
Wow.
to my console. And download the PS4 version first.
Yeah, okay, that's annoying.
There you go.
crazy.
Other than that, though, I love this thing.
Yeah. Like, I've played, and we'll talk about the games in a minute, but I've played Demon's Souls, Spider-Man, and I think that's all I played on it. I played a little bit of Astro as well, and it's like, for $750, like they're both fucking weapons.
Yeah.
Like they are good hardware for the money.
Microsoft is still very much sticking to the line of world's most powerful console.
Yeah, and like sure, like teraflop all you want. It's like they're like next to each other. They're both doing like really smooth, like
they're doing
4K upscale stuff,
Yeah.
and it's like it looks great.
Skiverick in the chat said, "Is the PS5 hot too?" I've noticed not a lot of heat coming out of this thing.
I noticed today a fuckload.
Oh, really?
Really?
In this space.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I don't necessarily, again, anecdotal, I didn't have a thermometer. Go to Digital Foundry for that, or the thermal cameras and stuff. But it was pumping a bunch of hot air out the back, which is where its vents are.
Sure.
And it felt hot like the PS4 Pro gets hot.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed that on mine, but again, it's same as you.
Because that was a priority in the design. It was the
why it's so
reason
big?
that's so big is one of the ones.
But also
the
the weird
itself.
sails and stuff are
That's
supposed
all-
to create airflow.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's there
Like
as well.
spoilers.
But yeah, they did say the heat sink was a massive part of the design of the internals, and that's why it had to take on such an ungodly form.
I would say you don't know that either of them are sitting behind your television.
No.
They're both just dead silent.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact
totally.
that they're looming over as well.
I think the most exciting thing about it still is the controller, like being able to play games on it now outside of, because with Astro, it was really cool to be able to experience that as like a demo. But now that I've seen that implicated in Spider-Man like that, I'm now able to sort of see how, because we'll talk about how we were worried it would be overpowering to have the like controller being like jumping around in your hand the whole time, but it's so subtle you almost forget it's there. But like, and we'll talk about this in the game when we talk about the game section more, but just the way they have those kind of subtle vibrations in places that you wouldn't expect. And I can't say for sure, but I think even like at one point when like Miles answered his phone, like the vibration was just
it
on
does.
one side of the controller.
Yeah.
Like because he pulls the pocket out of his right pocket.
Cool.
And also, like, the phone, I think, rings louder out of the controller than it does out of the television almost as well. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, shit, there's something in my lap.
Yeah.
Well, I was sharing around a video today with you guys.
Such a good video.
It was this fantastic video showing off Call of Duty Black Ops. They've said that the adaptive controllers respond differently to every different gun type. And someone had basically filmed the TV in the background as they're pulling the trigger of all the different weapons. And obviously, a fire a machine gun, they pull the trigger down, you see it vibrate back and forth, like, does the response. That's cool. You fire like a bolt-action rifle, it actually has a point of sticking, and then when you pull it harder, it goes click and fires.
Wow.
And they went through every gun, and you guys had a look at it too. It was basically like, holy shit, I play COD on my Xbox. I always have, I always will. And I looked at this video, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's like an actual, it's a gimmick, but it's a gimmick I want to try.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's a gimmick I want to fall in love with. And be
Definitely
like,
makes it feel more immersive. You wouldn't think it would, but it totally does.
totally does.
And I also hate that it was also like, all the stuff you've talked about with Astrobot and stuff sounds amazing. It's like you can feel water in the controller. I'm like, can't get my head around that. But the thing that I've found myself drawn to, it's like, you can pull a trigger like you're pulling a trigger. And I was like, wow. How have they made it so similar?
Nicritex in the chat said, I love when you're swinging in Spider-Man. It's a little harder to hold the trigger at the apex of the swing. So stuff like that where
Yeah,
it's like
cool.
the
You're feeling
momentum
the
is like,
tension, yeah.
like
Awesome.
he's like, too high.
What was the one I heard about today? We talked about as well that apparently in NBA 2K or one of the new
When your
ones,
players get
when your
tired.
players are getting tired, the trigger's going to get harder to pull for sprint because obviously you hold down the trigger to sprint, it's going to get harder as they get tired.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like all that stuff is good because I feel it's funny, you know, with video games, we always are like, oh, how can we make them more realistic and stuff? And then as soon as motion controls came in, it's like, you can actually be an archer. I was like,
You never could. Your little Wii character's like, woo.
yeah, but also like I want to just be on the couch.
And
This seems like a good
This
middle
I
ground.
can get behind.
That's
It's
a great observation in that the idea behind motion controls where they were like, we want you to feel like you're doing it. But whenever at least for me, whenever I did that, it was like, this doesn't feel like it because this feels super artificial and there's no resistance. And resistance, that's the feel. This doesn't feel like anything. This is me like making an action.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the controller really does, for me at least, replicate the feeling of all the things that it's trying to do. Even if it's not, hey, this is like when you said picking up the phone and stuff.
Yeah.
That you don't hold a phone like that and hold a trigger and stuff, but it just there's something that it triggers in you, the sense that that's what's happening in your hand. And I think that's really subtle, and I think that's really brilliant.
We talked about it when you guys first talked about your hands-on with Astrobot, which was a fear that not enough games and software that isn't just first-party stuff would use this and use it in exciting ways. And I think, hopefully, just by seeing a couple of games already starting to play with it and experiment with it, I hope they go nuts with it. I hope it's the Wild West of like, let's make this feature... Let's go too far with it a little bit.
I think because there's so much range and so much scope for subtlety, then people will use it more because it won't be intrusive.
Yeah, but you need that clever ideas as well. Like you said, you need to think in all those moments of game design to be like, could we
you
put
need that to be
here?
like a whole department needs to be like.
We talked about that. I think we said there's like one department.
We said that Sony should send out like pay for that person to just come in and go like, this is what you should do, and I'm going to code it for you. Steam also, there's beta drivers for the controller for Steam that don't have all the functionality working yet, but they're working on it. And the idea is that if enough PS5s are out there in the wild and there's enough demand, then it could be something that we start seeing in PC titles as well.
Jailbreak your DualSense.
This is definitely my console of choice at the moment between the two. This is what I was playing Assassin's Creed on that. I will play Game Pass stuff on that when it comes out, or the 3080. Xbox don't really care where I play those games. But I've been playing everything in this, and I like the UI. I think there's a lot of little things that I would change about it, just like quality of life things, but just in terms of the update of it, the visualness of it, the functionality of all the tips and talking to people.
It's finally an actual user interface, not dev interface that they put a blue skin behind. It's like they actually designed a thing, and it is quite nice to navigate. Heaps better experience than PS4, for sure.
Oh, miles away. The only weird thing is I remember they said when they announced. Oh, sorry, I was touching this and it's hidden.
It's hidden.
It's the PS5.
They were resting on the box.
They said a couple of months ago when they hadn't revealed the UI yet, but they were like, no pixel has been untouched. Like, we've changed everything. And then I went to I was like, I opened it up. I'm like, oh yeah, it's entirely different. This is amazing. And then I go to the settings menu. I'm like, hang on a second. I know you.
From the PSP.
This is exactly this. You haven't done a thing. Okay, so tons of games on these. Let's talk about. Quickly cover some things that we've been playing that we won't go too deep on. Oh my God, let's just start fucking dark as well. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The reason we want to go quick on this is because we'll probably end up talking a lot more about this in a week or two when we've put much more time in the game. But Steph, do you want to kick us off with just top line impressions?
Oh man, the first sync that I did on top of a mountain.
This is it.
I
was on a sorry.
Actual goosebumps. It's just like a part of the world that I've been waiting to spend time in a video game, and for Assassin's Creed to do that is just no developer could have done it better than Ubisoft. They've just paid so much attention to detail, and the landscapes and everything about it is so cool. Viking life is so cool. There's so much to it. I can't wait to play more. I think I was too eager though to kind of explore the wilderness, and then I went into a cave and tried to fight a guy that I wasn't supposed to fight.
Oh yeah, he 2 hits and you're done.
I was really trying to I was persevering with it, and then Peter came in and was like, don't fight him yet, he's too hard. And I was like, no, I can do it. And then I was like, did you leave? And he goes, yeah, I left. And I was like, okay. I
fought him once and was like, this is endgame.
Oh yeah, this is
and then somebody in the chat was like, Barjo also left. And I was like, all right, I'm leaving.
Totally. Because that it does the thing that I love that Ubisoft in Assassin's Creed games do, which is you start off this 100-hour game, but it always starts with it's like there's a small game. That first island, when you're in Norway, is a self-contained Assassin's Creed game that could potentially be 6.5 hours long. And you could just get your fill from that. And I always make the mistake. It's like the fucking hinterlands in Dragon Age Inquisition, where it's I spend too much time in the opening area and I get my gameplay fill. But I cleared out that entire space. I 100%ed the whole thing. And then I went to
Even
there.
that dude?
No. And I went there and I was like, that dude and the deer that is there's like,
it's like
a stag that is a boss fight, and it's like, right, we're coming back to Norway.
Well, that was my thing.
Did
as well.
did you hunt for the comb from the woman?
I did. I found the comb and I found love, Steph.
I was very disappointed that was a fade to black.
So was I. I was like, Viking hunt.
Like Assassin's
Sex
Creed.
spoilers. I didn't do that mission yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's been like in Assassin's Creed 2, I think there was like press X to remove her shirt and that kind of stuff.
right.
So they did a bit of love sceney thing. So I was expecting that to happen.
At least give me a press X to pillage.
Yeah, I don't need to see like nudity, but like a bit of like reward for my home finding efforts, and I was left wanting, Nick.
Totally. Yeah. But I am very much enjoying it. I've put about 12 hours in so far. I'm in England now.
Yeah, is this one of the first ones that they've given that cool little, like an opening area that is a bite-sized version of what you get later on? Like,
No.
like
Kefalonia in the last one.
okay, right. I admittedly didn't play that one, but I did really enjoy the idea of just like...
First 40 hours of 3 where you play as a different character.
Yes, okay, yeah, fair enough. But like that was the whole town and
Montenegro in
everything.
2 and
Like,
all of Desmond's
It
bullshit.
just felt like it felt like the training wheels were off a little quicker than I'm used to in Assassin's Creed, and I loved that. I was like, oh, this is nice. Let me just run off and, you know, I could do a side quest or I could follow that mission straight away. I'm used to a lot more top-heavy story, and I like how they've weaved that into the idea of Norway being the starting area. But even just, as I said, that island that you start on before that, I found quite refreshing, because I have my issues with Assassin's Creed games. They have a lot of, you know, I won't go into too much, but like it just feels like a very designed experience, and sometimes I get a little like I can feel
You ate how much UI and hand holding.
UI is a
you,
bit.
you got angry. You could say you got angry.
UI just really rubs me the wrong way. And like most of my open world experiences that I really cherish are ones where you are just pushed out into an area and there's a lot of natural exploration. I have nothing wrong with the other version of it, and I think it can be done really well, and I think there are elements in the game that do it really well. I'm against any game that people then say, you got to turn these bits of the UI off. I'm like, if you could turn them off, they should be off from the start, but that's a whole nother tirade.
I don't think so. I think that.
Oh, it's totally subjective. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's cool to give you the option. They've clearly gone for an approach here where it's a lot simpler with its UI, but I noticed they give you the option to remove it completely for like the fully immersive mode.
Which I've done in previous games where it's like I found myself stuck trying to do something, and they're like, oh, there's usually a giant prompt above them, and I'm like, well, I can't see that. So,
Which you would hope if they're encouraging people who are not interested in UI to turn it off with that feature, because it was, as you're booting into the game, it's like minimize the UI, which we've done in the past in like Black Flag or something like that, and you're like, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I have to go through the menu and go ding, 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 ding. Is it that or that? And then,
But that said, like I'm enjoying this more than the last one I played, which was not Odyssey, the one before that. Origins. I'm enjoying it a lot more than that. I'm enjoying the setting a lot more. I want to give it a lot of time. I spent a little too long running around the first area, exploring and almost getting my fill. And then it was like, do a story. I'm like, but I'm enjoying being free and all that kind of stuff. So I plan to dive back in and probably play it on a better console. And
I like that I like the kind of approach to combat, and I like the idea that they've gone with Ivor wearing the assassin's blade on the outside, because Vikings weren't particularly stealthy or wouldn't hide their weapons.
We just got pillaged. I didn't even notice.
So they were like, oh, you're supposed to wear it this way.
Yeah.
And she, in my case, is like, well, I'm just going to wear it on the outside because I've got nothing to hide. I also like the fact that the sort of modern anime stuff is very minimal.
Totally,
the only time that the first time that I've seen it so far is just when you get to choose your gender.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh, these
Let the animus choose.
these streams are like getting like complicated. Pick one.
And it's just some disembodied voices.
I find that
like,
a really weird thing. It's like, I'm fine with you going like, just let me pick at the start. I know there's lore and ancestry and stuff of Assassin's Creed, but it's like the tearing of dimensions, because it's like, we're not sure if this DNA is from a woman or a man, and like we're making that a feature is like, I picked the woman. I'm not going to change my mind.
I like it. I like the modern day stuff. I don't care what anyone says. I just think there's a way to implement it so that it's minimal, and I think they've done it in this.
Did anyone do I picked the switch between male and female?
Oh, no.
what do you mean?
Yeah, I did
If
that.
you choose the middle?
Yeah, so you can either play as a male or female, or
Let
you
the
let
app-
the game change for you.
Right.
And the way that it works is that it picks one sex for the game, and then when you go into the seer mystical stuff, it changes. And so
That's okay, it's dynamic. I thought it was just I couldn't decide. It was a bit of a like.
No. It's actually like you
yeah.
basically play two different.
Oh, I like
rivals.
that. Okay, cool.
Which is like a nice sort of thing. Yeah, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I might give that. Cool.
And then the last thing I'll say about it, and we'll do probably a standalone thing on the story and everything once we've put more in. But I really loved, like, technically it looks gorgeous, particularly on the new consoles and on PC. But I loved how Norway, all that thick snow and stuff that you're trudging through, and because I spent 6-7 hours there clearing that whole thing out, and then you sail to England and it's like autumn and everything is golden and it's all this sort of like yellow sun and stuff, and just the switch between those two seasons was so beautiful, and I kind of I've seen less of that, I feel like, in Assassin's Creed. Like, you go to Egypt and it's like, well, it's just Egypt.
It's very
you go to
one
Greece,
note.
it's Greece, whereas here it's like deep snow and then gorgeous like
I also wonder,
graveyards with autumn leaves on.
It's a clever decision as well, because Norway looks stunning and what I've run around in, but like snow lands are bleak, and even in their prettiest version, like, you're going to tire of it eventually. And I think giving you somewhere like England that can have a little, somewhere known for its weather, I feel like playing the whole game, if they had set it in the same way you're saying is like Origin or something, setting it entirely in snowy plains and mountain peaks, is you would fatigue over it, because they are long games. So.
And it's so great too, because like the whole ethos of Vikings is that they were travelers and explorers. So it's great that in
plays
this
into
game
it,
you're
it's
not
not-
stuck in one location.
Totally. Yeah.
My top line, I jumped in, I went to explore Norway. I was doing the story. I found that really hard dude really early, and that told me there's an end game back here. I will come back. And so I just went into the story, and within 3 and a bit hours, I was in England. So there's like 15 hours of content if you want to hang around in Norway, or you can get moving with the story. And I guess, like, we'll have a big powwow about it, but it's beautiful. It plays nicely, but there are things like that. It's a very gamey. It's a very gamey game still. It doesn't feel like a next-gen game to me.
Yeah, right.
It at times looks like one. It at times looks like one, but it is not in an engine that tells me it's next.
It does feel very much like it is in that Assassin's Creed engine. I would say, like, the face, the face capture and the acting in that kind of regard. The acting's great, the voice acting's great, but the animations are very stiff. It just does feel like you are going through
I feel like
motions.
Ubisoft has never really nailed the face animation stuff.
And they don't seem to want to try. It's like this. That's not.
That's tough for big open world games. It's tougher to do.
Yeah.
Well, then let's skip to Demon Souls then, because that feels like a good transition. Because Demon Souls, a game I did not play on PS3, but did play, but very excited to play now. I am absolutely loving it. It is unbelievably stunning. It is just a gorgeous game, but it is so funny going, this incredibly beautiful game. I think the way that it plays in terms of mechanically, the way the fighting and everything is just so fantastic. But it's really funny seeing a 10-year-old game or whatever hidden underneath this of just things like the backstab, where when you line up the backstab and it's like, oh yeah, that's close enough, and then it just like positions the characters back, and you go, this game is the next gen looking game, but then there's also stuff like a character walks away from you and they walk straight in a line and then they just turn on a pivot to go around the corner and stuff, and it's funny seeing those sort of dynamics.
I think, which you would complain about if
even the way the character moves.
The purists and the fact that it's Bluepoint, is it? Who did it? Yeah, have done it so perfectly from all accounts. It's like, it does feel so much like that original, and they do such a great job of porting. Yeah, if they had changed those elements of it, there'd be an uproar.
It wouldn't be the same game.
I don't know. Like, I'm almost in the other camp. I think we're the only two who have put some time into it, and I haven't put as much time into it as you. But I'm finding it kind of... Yes, it's beautiful. It is the best looking thing I've seen on my television for sure.
Yep.
And we watched season 5 of The Crown.
Thank you, you used to watch Screenplay starring your wife.
We never watched that.
Yeah, that's great. No one watched that show.
Yeah, it's like, it is a very faithful recreation of an old game. And, like, that's cool. But it also feels like an old game in a way that frustrates me. Like, Dark Souls obviously followed Demon Souls, and there's been more and more Dark Souls games, and there's been Sekiro, and there's been Bloodborne, and they've refined.
And there's been Neo,
They've refined
and there's been
what
other
this
games
game is, and this is a Souls game, and this is the worst Souls game in terms of how it feels, because
Sure, like if you're counting
and
Souls
because of
games
that-
from Dark Souls.
Demon Souls forward.
No, okay, right, yeah.
I mean, this is equal to Demon Souls in how it feels.
Sure.
And I think I think it feels the worst. And I hate coming up against an enemy that is so dumb in its AI.
Yeah.
And bosses that are just stab the foot. All the boss design is the same. And it's like, yes, it's a remake, but like I think I would have preferred a Final Fantasy style 7. Sorry, it's a remaster, not a remake.
Yeah, right.
I think I would have preferred something
Spiritual successor
new.
that takes it and does something new.
Because this just feels like I've already played this. Sure, it looks better, but I'm not
It's funny-
compelled to finish it. I have played this before.
You out of the three of us who've played Dark Souls Souls games, it's interesting. You are actually the one who plays them for the mechanics and for that. Like I would just say a little bit more than you and I think play them for a mixture of all of those elements. Whereas like you're the only one here who's done nude speed runs through 2.
Yes.
And in the game as well.
That doesn't appeal to me. I assume it doesn't appeal to you.
No.
But that's someone in its purest form.
I never want to play it again.
That's someone wanting to purely play it for the core mechanics and how it feels, and just to master, your builds and all that kind of stuff. So I can see you not finding that same.
And to
level.
clarify, it still feels good.
Yeah,
Like,
what do you mean by feeling? Like with the
like the encounters feel like they're not designed as cleverly as Dark Souls. It's just like it's the combat isn't as refined, though it looks spectacular.
Yep.
Everything they've done with sound design and animation and stuff is beautiful.
Well, it's interesting because in terms of the animation and the combat,
There's more frames
They've
as well.
they've updated basically every single attack, but they've kept the cadence of all of them.
Yeah,
So
of
the
course, yeah.
timings are the same.
Yeah.
So it's not like they changed the pace of the combat,
Right.
but it looks way better. So it is
So I
like
think
the
your
flourish
iframes
is
is
there,
doubled.
but the practical functionality that you're not.
Calcium Tax wants to know if the dodging feels like it's locked to 4 directions or can you dodge diagonally?
You can dodge diagonally.
That's
it's
been
not
changed.
large.
That
Yeah.
was the one thing that they did make a consideration for, and they were like, that was something that immediately was changed in Dark Souls, and they were like, this needs to come back to the original. So
There's no jumping in Demon Souls.
not even
There's not the
I can't believe how expensive it is.
yeah.
People saying 125, maybe 109 at
Yep.
places like JB.
Yeah,
That's
what-
crazy.
disc copies from your JBs and stuff are still about 109. Digital
Disc
store.
copy.
If
A
you
digital store, it's 120.
If you had the money and you were lucky enough to get a PS5, you should absolutely buy this thing
Yeah.
because it is the game that's showing off what this hardware is, right? This is like a locked 60 frames. It is spectacular to look at. And if you haven't played Souls before, or
you have no
if
point
you've
of
played Souls
reference.
before and you haven't played Demon Souls before, it's totally worth a playthrough.
Oh, totally. Made a Muse in
you
the
are.
chat said, do you think this remaster will bring in new people to the series? And I definitely think so. I think that I absolutely understand what you're saying in that the encounter design is very much like, because I didn't realize that it's not like Souls where there are bonfires. What you're doing through this level is like you run through a level, you unlock a shortcut, and then that gives you access to the boss or access to the second half of the level to unlock another shortcut, and then you get through. So at first I was like, oh my God, I have to run this level to get to the boss? But then actually, no, that's fine. But the way between you and the shortcut is very much like we've just plopped dudes here.
Yeah.
Like dudes are just plopped. There's not a huge amount of areas where I'm like, oh, this is like a puzzle, a combat puzzle that I need to figure out of like baiting you out and coming around here and whatever. Like this is very much just like dun, 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 guys on the way.
Finish that area, run to a door, funnel them all in. One
Yeah.
by one.
And you can totally do that in Dark Souls, and they got better at designing the games to not let you do that as much.
Yeah.
But like I was playing this and enjoying it, and I'm getting like through some stages and I was going through the motions of like baiting a single guy. He'd do an attack and then just stand up and stand there to let me circle around behind him and stab him in the back. And I'm like, am I having fun?
Well, I think that because I've played all the games,
Yeah.
but I adore them, but I'm not pro at them at all. It's a struggle every time. But I think that for someone who has not played them, I think the novelty of the combat, of like having never played something like that, even if the encounter design is simple, I think that you'd be going, oh, thank God it's simple. Like, thank God I can do this. Because just getting your head, like, it takes a whole game to just be like, okay, this masochistic thing, I understand what's going on here. And then you can go to Dark Souls 2 and stuff. Because the thing that I find really interesting is the first time I played Dark Souls, I was just like, oh my God, the ideas in just this scale of what's happening in this game is epic. And then as I played the others, but then particularly this, I'm like, oh, there's a bit of a From Software template here of like dragon on a bridge, like boss one hitting you at the beginning, big knight on a bridge, just mainly things on a bridge. There are so many like spider bosses, like these things where I go, oh, you. The other games are like a call and response to this game, where they came up with all of these ideas, and then it's like they went, okay, we did these ones and it wasn't perfect. Now let's redo them in all the other games and actually like nail it.
And you're right. It's like this being a remake is interesting because Dark Souls was a remake of Demon Souls.
Yeah.
It was like, we did this, let's do it better.
Like so much of a remake of this game.
There are parts of this that you look at and you would just think like, this looks like it's straight out of whatever the world was in Dark Souls. And yeah, I would say like Dark Souls is the pinnacle in my opinion. The first Dark Souls is the best in terms of they got everything right. But yeah, this is an interesting thing to go back and see that blueprint and see either some of those missteps or some of those elements that were like, that are enjoyable to rediscover in that sense. I can't wait to play this. Like I am gagging to play this, and I feel like I'll get through it a little bit because I'll enjoy seeing that process a bit more. That's not to say I'm going to enjoy it in a different way to you, but I just think like
no, I think you will. Like I think
like I'm loving it, and you and I feel like are more in the same camp.
Totally.
But I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think I'm kind of disappointed that I'm not enjoying it, which I think is why I'm finding the things to attack in it. But I have had the experience of playing through this exact game before. It looked a bit uglier and ran a less smooth. And
a bit uglier? I put it down. I dusted off my PS3 and downloaded it and tried to play it a few years ago, Gesundheit, and I couldn't, even though I had such fondness for Dark Souls 1 and 2. I was like, this is unplayable. It's actually unplayable.
Yeah. Does this have like the multiplayer and the stuff where you can leave messages for people?
It does. And it's interesting you bring that up because people are kind of like upset about the corporate move of they only turned off the Demon Souls servers like when they greenlit this game to get developed, right? So it's like Demon Souls you could play and have the online functionality and I won't spoil anything, but the connectivity of Demon Souls was what generated all the hype around Demon Souls and is why Dark Souls exists. Like it was like this game does some incredibly interesting things with online multiplayer, and they switched that functionality off in like February of 2018 or something, which must have been around the time that they were like, let's have a PS5 launch title.
It is interesting, all the people leaving messages and stuff, that I feel like a lot of people are playing this game who have never played a Souls game before, and I can tell that because they're all being very nice and genuinely helpful. Most of the tips at the moment. So if you're going to play it now when the tips aren't like, try rolling here and then you definitely die.
There are troll ones around. I've seen some troll ones around.
But I've sort of I'm hitting like an 80-20 ratio there of like 80% of them are like, this is a helpful thing. And when the first time I played Dark Souls, it was like, I ended up turning them off because it would be like, I would read it and I'd be like, maybe this one is a good one. It never was.
Calcium Tax brings up one of the favorites, which is scary but whole.
Good. But it is great. Like I'm really, really enjoying it and hating it at the same time. I love this guy as well. Every time he stops talking, wait till he stops talking, and then he's going to pull that face. It's like he stops saying something and then he reverts back to like a smile. Wait for it. Wait for it.
For it.
There. Okay, and then quickly, before we get into the real big discussion, I've been playing 2 games that are more kiddie focused, I suppose you might say. Sackboy: A Big Adventure and Bugsnax. Sackboy, even though Demon's Souls has been my favorite experience on the PlayStation 5 for me, Sackboy has been my favorite experience on the PlayStation 5 full stop, because I have been playing it with my son, and I realize, I meant to make a video of this. I filmed him and me playing. And the reason it's so special is I forget how magical video games are of what happens in them. Because, and then I played it with him and I watch it through his eyes, and he cannot believe what he is seeing. His little mind cannot. I understand why they say don't put kids in VR, because it's like they might die from just being completely overstimulated. He is. Every time I'm basically playing, I let him play a little bit, and he was running around and he was pretty good at it, but then he likes to watch me do it more.
Yeah.
He thinks all the little balls are pumpkins, and so we'll just be sitting there, and then the edge of the screen will pan over and you'll see another set of balls, and he'll go, pumpkins! and then I'll go get them, and he go, get them down, and it's just this. He is so beside himself with joy, and I am also beside myself with joy with this game, because I love the Little Big Planet franchise, and I just think that this game tightened up the controls so much on that. That game was so floaty.
They were,
and it takes the best. It's the best it's ever felt. The level design is fantastic and so much fun. It has all the Little Big Planet charm, but it is much more easy to play because it's tight like that, and also without the burden of having to find the good stuff.
Is this the first Little Big Planet game that is like a 3-dimensional world, like Tearaway was, or?
Yes, I think all the other ones.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Yes, developed. I believe it is the first one to do this. They were the side scrollers, or the kind of side scrolling platformers.
Yeah.
But because of the tools that they put into those games, people made stuff like this. We've seen
in the level,
level editor, stuff exactly like this, but not first party.
It looks so cool.
And this isn't Meteor Molecule, is it?
No, it's the who did it? It's the people who did 3. And I tweeted out that I loved it, and then one of the level designers said, "Oh, thank you so much. That makes that makes me feel so good." Sumo Digital,
but they're not pumpkins.
Sumo Digital.
I'm excited for when your kids even get a little bit older. I've played some games with my nieces who are like 8 and 10. And it's so cool because we get so used to the same mechanics in video games over and over. It's awesome watching kids discover those mechanics and be so impressed by them the first time. Like no, Steph, because every now and again I'll come in and sit with them while they're playing, and they're like, no, Steph, you've got to grab the controller and you got to stun him first, and then you can use that gun on him, and then he'll go down for a second, and then you jump on him, and then you do it again. And I'm like, okay, and they're like, isn't that cool?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Don't let them play Black Ops. But
well, Banjo's at the point where he was playing, and he. I said, press that button, and he did it, and he goes, he jumped! And then he just jumped for 5 minutes.
Is it literally lesson 1?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
But yeah, it's a ton of fun, and there's just so many collectibles. It's brilliantly designed. I thoroughly recommend it for everyone, but particularly if you have kids.
Yeah, and I've spoken to someone else who's been playing it, Gog. I don't know if he's watching right now. He's probably playing Destiny 2. But he was playing a bit as well, and was saying how much fun he was having with it. As a very jaded gamer who's played fucking everything that's ever been released.
A lot of games.
There's a I mean, it's
sorry.
That's a
come on, man.
That's a kind butthole, or what it was.
The pedigree of Little Big Planet.
Jump inside me.
The pedigree of Little Big Planet is here, and it's still very adult in a lot of the themes and the storytelling, in the same way that all great kids' cartoons
Totally,
are.
yeah.
Is it narrated?
It is. The 2 voices are. It's one of the Abfab.
Dawn French?
Yeah,
Dawn
not Abfab.
French?
And
Amazing.
not Love Actually. He was the crap bad guy in the latest Star Wars film, but he's a brilliant British actor.
It's with Nail and I. Richard E. Grant.
E. Grant.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so wonderful voices.
Yeah, and it's great. Like, it's just so good, and it's just a total joy, and it uses all the good parts of this, the UI thing of like jumping and replaying.
Uses all the good bits of this
thing, which is actually right now just
You can see it's tiny.
Oh no, there it is.
Yeah,
nice.
So yeah, very good. And then Bugsnax as well. I played. We're gonna have a playback of that for next week.
There was a lot of forced hype around Bugsnax. I'm curious to know if it lives up to...
Because their theme song was everyone's talking about Bugsnax.
No, it's like Gabbo, Gabbo, Gabbo.
And they look like hand puppets.
Bugsnax is very strange. I like it. It's so not the game that I was expecting it to be. I was thinking it would be like Pokemon meets
Slime Rancher?
Slime Rancher.
I looked
yeah,
up.
meets
I got a little bit of that.
Viva Pinata. Basically, I thought I thought I would go on an island where I could Frankenstein a bunch of Bugsnax together and grow them, and like Stardew Valley, but Bugsnax.
What is a Bugsnax?
It's a piece of fruit or food that has legs. It's scented bugs that are made out.
So
of
it's
food.
okay.
It's
so
like literally a strawberry that has legs.
So you are a carnivore bug.
Yes, but then the thing, well, no, you're not a bug. You're like a bear thing.
You're one of these characters, and you're on the island to
You're a
hunt,
grumpus.
document, help people, with their problems. There's
you're a grumpus.
You're a grumpus.
And what you do, okay, so what actually happens is you are called to the island by a grumpus who discovered it, who has set up a town, and she's like, I have something to tell you, come to the island. You turn up
It's
there.
in first person?
Yes, you turn up there, and she's missing. And all the townsfolk have left the town that they built and scattered off onto the island because there's been something that's happened, like a falling out.
Yeah.
And so what you need to do to get everyone back together is you need to go collect Bugsnax and feed them to all the villagers. And when you feed a Bugsnax to a villager, a limb on their body turns into that food. And so you slowly turn all the villagers into food.
Bugsnax.
And I don't know why. I'm halfway through the game. I've got half the village back. And then every time someone comes back to the village, you then interview them, because you're a journalist. You interview them about what happened. And this is way more of which is the part I'm actually surprisingly enjoying. It's way more of my fucked up,
messed up
Japanese murder mystery kids stuck in school game.
Totally.
Than I was expecting. And so I'm halfway through. But apparently the ending is wild.
Okay.
Still kid safe, but also disturbing AF.
Wow.
So
apparently, isn't all the creatures as they fly around in a very Pokemon style say the name of the food they are? Like they all say the name as they go around.
Pika Pika.
Yeah, so literally there's a sweet type fly. It'll be like sweet type fly.
Someone said Pokemon Snap because you pull out a camera. It's like, it's Pokemon Snap
Totally.
if you then eat the Pokemon up.
yeah. And when
let's be honest, we all have wanted to chow down on a Diglett or two.
Totally. And when you catch a Strabby, which is the walking strawberry, or any of them, your controller. You grab it and it goes Strabby.
That's right.
And then you feed it to someone. And
I was going to say, is this one that Ben has had a watch of too? Like, I know we're not rating them all as this, but does he see the same appeal?
At the beginning, yeah, he played some with me, but he got bored because it's a lot of them talking about we founded the town and now the woman's missing and that sort of thing. And he was constantly just catch the animal.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know if he enjoys the first person experience or if he likes to see a little character running around on screen. This
was the first person game I'd ever shown him because the only other game besides Little Big Planet we've ever played is Animal Crossing.
Death Stranding.
I don't think
I'd like to hear more from your son and his opinions on that.
I don't think conceptually he necessarily understood what first person was. I think he probably thought it was just a camera floating around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely going to finish it. It's not that long. It's I think it's 8 hours.
Well, you need to get to that ending and tell us about it.
But the only thing that I don't, well, not the only thing, but something that I don't like is that when you feed food to them, one part of their body turns into that food and therefore becomes very unfunctional. Like a hand turns into a strawberry. Yeah. And it's I don't like how that looks on them. It looks like concept art of this is what we want it to. To me, it should be collect 10 strawberry or strabbies and then you feed it to them, and then that person turns into like a giant strawberry. Like the mayor in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, who just turns into like an enormous, like,
That's right.
Yeah, so
it does come off as one of the more sort of half-baked looking design animations that you're like, unless they're then going to transform into a giant fruit salad-y funny character, which doesn't really look like they do. It just sort of goes on.
No, you can get people. I have seen people. Their entire bodies change. But Maiden Muse has finished the game, and she said, "Oh no, Nick, keep playing." So I will definitely finish it because I am keen to see like why are we doing this.
You had my curiosity. Now you have my strawberry.
Maddie G says, I reckon a Diglett tastes like potatoes.
Totally. It's a yam. It's a yam with eyes.
It's a root vegetable, for sure.
It definitely is.
And then the final game that is not next gen.
It isn't, but just before you jump onto that, I had to hunt this down quickly. While you were talking about Demon Souls, I saw a great retweet the other day. A great tweet the other day that has a description saying this is one of the best descriptions of Demon Souls. This remaster will introduce a new generation of players to the masterpiece that launched an entire genre of games in which a soft-spoken NPC with a British accent mutter lethargically to a player and then trail off in a weird laugh that lasts twice as long as the actual dialogue.
Totally.
Which is a perfect description of any From Software game.
Mild-mannered pate.
It seriously is. It seriously
So
is. Look, just to round out the mix with a non-next gen game, I have been playing the demo of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which is available now on Switch as a demo. It comes out tomorrow.
Of course you have.
Of course I have. But out of really like a fascinated interest as to what is happening here, because essentially this is it's Breath of the Wild. It's a sequel of it's a prequel of sorts because it's telling the story that happened before Breath of the Wild, but it is using the Dynasty Warriors 1v1000 engine, which is, if you played a Dynasty Warriors game, which I haven't, I've only played the previous Zelda iteration, that's almost a genre in itself now that has been adapted with both Zelda, also Fire Emblem's done a version as well. Where you have multiple characters in a battlefield, you run them around, you have to take on mobs, you have to manage mobs within time limits and run around and do objectives.
When you say manage, you mean just like
just kill them all. There's no challenge in a mob, but there are bosses hidden within those mobs that you do have to fight properly. I was just really intrigued by this because the previous Zelda Warriors game, I think it was just called like, I'm not entirely sure what the title was, but it was like they used the Dynasty's Warriors engine and adapted a bunch of Zelda characters into it. This is ground up, like built with the developers of Breath of the Wild. So everything in it, you can see, feels exactly like the game, apart from the thousands of characters running around. And it's
this is actually probably more realistic if this world existed.
The reason I had to give this a go early on, the demo, I should say as well, is fantastic in the sense that it's about 2 hours of the game and your save file transfers into the release, which I think is tomorrow.
Wait.
Yeah.
It's the first 2 hours of the game.
Yeah.
And so when you buy the game, you just skip this.
Yeah. How good is that?
Clever.
That's so
that pulled me
good.
into the demo. I think I've seen it with 1 or 2 demos this year that have done that. So I was like, that is a brilliant strategy, and I hope it does well for them.
It's the Apple TV, like, watch the first episode for free. And we know how good it is.
Yeah.
You're going to buy Apple TV after this, aren't you?
I won't go too much more into it apart from the fact that it is a different style of game to get your head around. It is combat focused, obviously, but with some very strange ways to juggle that combat. It does not feel like any other Zelda game you've played, so it is not for people who are looking for that Breath of the Wild experience.
Yeah.
But it's a really nice way for them to have attacked what is like a world that has no story, that is just told in, ruin and memories and flashbacks. And it's handled really well in the sense that I was concerned it was going to feel like it's developed with Nintendo first and foremost. So even just like cutscenes and dialogue and tutorials and stuff are done in a way that feel familiar enough to Breath of the Wild that it kept me playing. It didn't feel like there was a jarring aesthetic design UI, if you will, that was like, oh god, this doesn't fit your game. It is like, even down to the menus and between quests and stuff, everything is the exact same HUD, UI, pause menu, animation, sounds to Breath of the Wild, which like many, I'm sure, spent multiple hours
Just hit
in.
those little like dopamine.
Totally. And so you
reward
feel
systems.
And it feels so familiar in that sense as well. Cool part is you're obviously playing multiple characters as well. There's Impa when she's younger.
Yeah.
And
are they all in your party? Like, is that
you take
Oh, right.
Take one or maybe two into a fight, and then I think as later levels develop, you can take more of them. And the big part of that is obviously the champions, who were the characters that you met as they were basically like
dead.
ghosts.
Yeah.
And you had some cutscenes with them. You were getting to play as them and move.
Sexy
around.
Fish was dead, right?
Sexy Fish was dead, but she was a Sexy Fish, not Sexy Fish Prince. And there was like the bird guy. The
Also,
rock
Sexy
guy.
Fish Prince was alive.
He was alive.
I was very confused playing that game.
I was
but
very
I loved every
confused
minute.
as well, but for different reasons. And yeah, it's cool to get my head around.
Thanks for the bottom blows to the top.
Like a whale. It's cool to get your head around a very different style of game. If you haven't played a Dynasty Warriors game before, it is very, very strange, very. It's a different
I was going
one
to say,
wrap your head around.
like, pull the Zelda skin off it.
Yep.
Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's there is just undeniably something incredibly, if I can find it, satisfying about running into an area where there's just a shit ton of enemies
Yeah.
and shield surfing your way through it. They juggle all up in the air. You can just spam one or two attacks, but it's not as fun as if you learn those extra moves and attacks and start comboing it together. And there is a challenge. Like, it's a game that you just think, like, 1 versus 1,000 is their motto kind of thing. And it's like, oh, you just carve through and make sure you don't run out of time. But there are sections that you're like, I'm not going to kill this boss in time to get over there. So I need to pause, send another character. Then when she's over there, I'm going to switch to her and hot swap over to her and manage that.
Yeah, I've played a Dynasty Warriors game before. It may have been a demo, like on disc back in.
I feel like I've done the same thing. Yeah.
And I was like, this is like it's kind of mindless, but it is fun, spammy kind of game.
Yeah.
And like anytime Nintendo have put a different, like a good IP skin over it, I've been like, that's a good call. People are going to love that. And the Fire Emblem one was like great. And this looks like, I'm not going to play it, but this is the closest I'll get to ever playing Dynasty Warriors again.
Yeah.
Are you going to keep playing?
God, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I want to finish it.
Are they going to pull the demo off the store? Do I need to download it tonight?
I don't believe so. It doesn't sound like something they do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as I said, great way to get...
It doesn't sound like something Nintendo who have timed
Sorry.
first party.
Yeah. Spot on, Pete. It is exactly something they would do.
Download it tonight,
at all.
just in case.
Yeah,
I
would.
I was just like, Nintendo are a pure lovely company. They do nothing malicious. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. And I think it's a great idea for them to do it with a demo based on the fact that I think there's a lot of people who would look at this and be a bit apprehensive to say, like, I don't think I want to play this game. Like, this seems very different for the experience I spent, 60 hours in originally. So, give it a go if it does tickle your interest at all. And I think a lot of people will be surprised that, and there's the story and everything else in it, and just that palette as well. It's just nice to have it. It runs beautifully on the Switch as well, like, as you can see, and just reminds you that little console is like, wow, does a lot for something a little smaller.
Totally, yeah. It is...
A lot,
I don't know, I was talking to...
a lot smaller.
I don't know what he's going on half the time. Okay, so that's a lot of what we've been playing, covering some stuff. We've got a ton more after this. We're going to go deep on Destiny 2, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War after this short break.
What's the word I'm thinking of? Not the...
Anthropomorphized.
Anthropomorphize.
I know, I love this word, like, I'm anthropomorphized. I'm like,
You say you love the word, can you say it?
anthropomorphize.
Did you add a syllable then?
Yeah.
Anthropomorphize.
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 Attribute human characteristics or behavior to a god, an animal, or object, like property.
Hey, I'm Nick Boy, and welcome to a playback of Bugsnax. Talking about Bugsnax. Was that the song? No, I'm in a plane boat, balloon boat. Traps too close. Traps too close. Is every animal on this island food? Okay, who are you besides just a real asshole? Don't mind if I do. Oh yeah. This person's name is C. Clumby Clumbernut. Look at his little head. Look at his head. Pete doesn't believe in the DualSense yet. Can you hear that? A little clip.
Feels so cheap.
Fuck off.
Lure it down with ketchup, then let me eat.
I can't believe I'm about to say this about an island populated with sentient fruit, but that doesn't make any sense. I did exactly what Pete always tells me not to do, and that's eat a lot of chocolate and have some Coke Zero right before I talk into a mic. Thank you very much to Andrew Sims and Vegabus for the word from our sponsors, Vegabus. Oh my goodness.
Love that one.
I had not seen that. That was a joy.
Look at it.
And featuring Dusk Art.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, a little glimpse into post-show life there. Okay, so we're gonna go deep on some games, and we want to hear from you guys as well. So we're going to start off with Destiny. So if you have opinions about Destiny, jump into the on hold in the Discord, and we'll get to you in a second. So let's start talking about Destiny 2. Destiny 2 Beyond Light expansion is out, and we have nearly all played it. You have not?
Not me. I've got all the questions.
Do you remember when we all sat here on this couch?
Yep.
And Peter was like, I'm playing Destiny. And you were like, I want to play Destiny 2, but like Peter's too hardcore. And I was like, you can play with me. I'm not hardcore. And you were like, I love Destiny 2. Let's all play together. Mm-hmm. And we all made a pact together. The three of us to play Destiny. Who's playing Destiny now? Me! Only me! And you still.
I'm playing it too.
When?
I played it this morning. I've done the first couple of missions.
I'll believe it when I see it on Steam.
Some of us are busy making snazzy Destiny 2 intro graphics.
But a lot of the community has been playing Destiny 2 as well. But Steph, kick us off. How are you feeling about Beyond Light so far?
It's weird because I only started playing Destiny a month before Beyond Light came out, so it's been crazy fast
crash course
ride, and then also I learned all these systems and did all these things that then just became obliterated as everything got reset on expansion. All these planets that I was going to, I was learning about decrypting engrams in this engram thingy downstairs by that guy with the southern accent who I hate. It's all gone.
What, you mean the Drifter?
I hate
Drifter's
the Drifter.
there. Yeah.
He's there, but the thing where you put the engrams in, you can reduce your loot pool to get a certain
I remember,
thing.
I played a lot of Destiny 2. I haven't played Beyond Light. I know that.
Never played.
I know about engrams.
But you are now the back pocket Destiny authority.
Totally.
I just feel like there's a reason why I don't play MMOs. And the fact that I've been playing this game so much is that reason. And I've been streaming it too because I think the reason why I tend not to stream super often is that I don't feel like I'm particularly very entertaining on my own, and I feel a lot of pressure to be entertaining and narrate what I'm doing, and I find that difficult. But when I'm playing with other people and we're just in voice chat, then it's less stressful. So I've been streaming it a lot, but at one point I streamed it twice in one day because I had to see my dad halfway through, and so then afterwards my dad left.
Yeah.
And I went back
because you started talking about engrams.
And I went back online and I was like, I may as well stream it because I'm just sitting here. And everyone came back in the chat and one person was like, here we go again. And another person was like, Steph, are you okay?
I've had family time.
So I assume you're focusing on the campaign so far?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I really want to. My whole goal at the moment is to be able to hit the light level that is necessary for me to complete the raid in the first week so I can get the raid jacket to match my Destiny 2 boots.
And when she says get the raid jacket, by completing the raid in the first week, you're allowed to purchase from the Destiny
But
website
only if you
the
complete it in the
jacket.
first week. So people will know.
Yeah.
They'll know.
They'll know that you have too much time and too much money.
Walking around the
Disposable
streets
income.
of Katoomba in your Destiny 2.
I live in a cold climate.
It's true.
It'll be great.
Oh, wait, a real jacket, not
Yes,
for the
no, it's a
character.
real
not a
jacket.
real
It's a
jacket.
real
Get out.
life
Yeah.
jacket.
It's actually pretty cool.
Oh,
No,
that's clever marketing. I'm on board with
Avexi
that.
was showing me all the previous raid jackets that he has, and they personalize them and everything with your username.
Holy
Done it
shit.
all.
It's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah,
Because you
It's
pay a
fucking
fortune
sick.
and that you would expect
It's
embroidery
awesome.
for expensive
They
clothes.
customize it. It cost an extra $300 or something.
But to talk about the actual game.
Just quickly, can you run me through, like, campaign-wise, like, what's going on?
Well, what's crazy is so they had a big event like leading up to the expansion, and what sucks is that I really wish that they didn't have to tell everyone what was going to happen and show everyone stuff in trailers, but because they were removing a bunch of content from the game, they had to tell people so that you could do all those raids and get all the exotic gear that you wanted to do and do everything before that content was sunset.
Bolted and, yeah.
What then happens is they just removed a bunch of planets from the solar system, consumed by the darkness, apparently. And so then you just can't access any of that stuff.
And I will add all the people on those planets.
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah.
characters and NPCs that you've spoken to a ton, they're like, we don't know
Bye.
where she is.
Yeah. And people are saying they were just obliterated and dead and stuff, but I feel like they'll come back at some point.
So an event happened that, like, a cataclysmic event occurred.
Yeah, and then you watch all these planets get like sucked into the darkness and
Blown out the top.
and the new content takes place primarily on a planet called Europa, which
Technically a moon.
technically a moon, and then which is like an icy snow planet, and just looks so beautiful.
So good. So good. It is probably the best looking Destiny stuff.
And then, but
Yeah.
in the first 15 minutes, you then go to a sunnier England country.
And you see Stonehenge. No, but it is really cool. Like, I don't want to like get into the story too much, so it's like a spoiler for people, but the whole point of this new expansion is that you get a new subclass.
Right.
And that subclass, it's cool because I feel like everything up until this point has been like Guardians are about the light and they're fighting the darkness and all that kind of stuff, but here you kind of have to cross to the dark side.
yeah.
And kind of commune with the darkness to take on this power to fight fire with fire or ice with ice or stasis with stasis.
Yep. Yeah, stasis with stasis.
Accurate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
I just love that phrase.
So, but no one's really into Destiny for the story.
Well, I was gonna say, like,
There's some good cutscenes.
I posted a lore book to a pocketeer who was going to have to buy it off eBay. So I
That's
think
fantastic.
people are definitely into
There,
this.
yeah.
yeah, Pete, like
They're the
enemy
outliers.
types, change ups, and weapon types, that kind of thing. Is there a big overhaul there?
There's the, I mean, where to begin? Stasis as a concept is very broken in Destiny 2 right
Yeah.
PvP is totally balked. Not that I think Destiny 2's PvP is particularly good competitive gameplay. It's fun enough, but it's just a bit of a mess at the moment. The balance has been thrown way off, there's a new strike. I would say yes, there's new content, but for people who got into Destiny free, there is, from my perspective, I believe there is way less content than there was 3 weeks ago. There's one new place, and they've removed others. You can go to the moon, but you can't do anything on there unless you pay for the old expansions.
Yep.
So the most Activision thing I've seen from them, I'll go to it in a second.
Keep pointing.
Yeah, you just keep pointing.
Shut the game.
The most Activision play that they've made since Activision have left them is that I've got a quest marker on the moon to go and interact with this person, and when I interact with them, it says spend $40 to continue this conversation.
Which is insane because all of that previous content doesn't give you gear that is like going to be relevant to you now. Like it's not going to give you like anything useful to you in the game.
Well, that's not necessarily true either. There's exotics and stuff that I can't access because they're part of Forsaken or
Yeah.
Shadowkey.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And like it feels like it's quite underwhelming. I mean, we could have had the game up from the start.
I know, I forgot to click the button.
Just very quickly, we were just rated by Barjo. And so welcome everyone who's watching Barjo, and they're all saying the date wasn't good, but the nuts were great.
Was he allowed out of his house? I'm assuming.
Not yet.
No, he's
No, he was doing a cooking stream tonight
Oh, there you
for
go.
Assassin's Creed. A Viking cooking
Adelaide has
stream.
only just entered a lockdown.
A 7-day one. Yeah. Sorry. Yep. So go ahead.
Yes. Where were we? Thank you, Raiders. We were talking about leveling up our character for the Destiny raid that's coming up this weekend. So there's some new stuff. This Europe is big.
Yeah,
There's a lot happening on Europa.
Yeah.
There's a lot here.
It's huge and it's so beautiful. I love because there's like we were talking about before. There's a way that snow locations can be so boring,
arduous,
and just like all white. But they've given so much detail and dimension to the environments on Europa. I just love it.
Yeah, and like there's not just the exterior snow stuff. There's abandoned facilities and stuff. So you're going through a lot of the
level design and the world design in in all of the Destiny series has been amazing, to the point that I played the one that was all on a green evil spaceship in space that was all dark and miserable, and it was beautiful. Yeah, I was like, it shouldn't be pretty, but it is.
I would say I'm disappointed by the amount of new baddies. There's like one new enemy type, which is the big mech thing.
Yeah.
The rest are just like they're Vex Fallen that have some stasis abilities.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're engaging with a similar captain, but it's got a different ability.
And Fallen, the Fallen are the bug-like ones, but then there's not the ones that are like the ghost purple dark versions of them.
The Taken.
The Taken, thank you. It's like Fallen, Taken,
I get so
Frozen.
confused by all the enemies.
Yeah.
There's no Taken on Europa that we've seen yet. There are some beautiful cutscenes, and they're the things that you enjoy once and then skip every time you engage with them moving ahead.
I don't skip them. I think they're nice.
No. You watch them once.
Oh, you mean
when you come back to do it with
as the grind continues, become like, get this out of the way.
I do think that the interesting thing about the Fallen in this is, and I know you said no one plays Destiny for the story, and I broadly agree with you, but I do think that they are doing some interesting stuff just in terms of the characterization of Ermus. I believe is the name of the main villain. Ermus, I think
that was
Aramis.
Aramis,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
So that she is leading the Fallen to come and sort of like take down the Traveler, which is what you live on, or
big
the
ball.
city is on. Yeah, the big ball. But just some of the stuff about how they go, like they have lived as slaves under the Traveler, like worshipping it in a way that even they have created like their AI, like the servitors that they have. She's like, we created those in
our image,
their image. Like, and so I think the idea of like, she's trying to get everyone to break away from that idea of that oppression, and then within that, and this isn't a spoiler because it's literally the first cutscene, but there is a Fallen character who is like a goodie, I suppose, if you're going very broad,
a turncoat.
but he's like. But he's almost a religious zealot, and that's the one that you're siding with. And it was funny for me where I was like, I'm siding with the religious zealot on this one. Like, I feel like I'm actually probably more on the psychopath murderer side.
It's such a wonderful blend of like sci-fi and fantasy and like cool, like religious allegory stuff as well. I really, really enjoy it. Like, I still have so much to understand about the lore from all the stuff that has led up to this point because there was just too much to catch up on.
Totally. Yeah.
But
no, I do think yes, the information that you're fed is in these cutscenes is delivered well for people who aren't reading all the lore in the menus and on the items and stuff. It's it is engaging enough, and the cutscenes are beautiful, and like you're not disappointed when one pops up. It's all over pretty quickly. Like,
have you finished the campaign?
Yeah. Well, there's the campaign, and then there's like clean up Europa afterwards.
Yeah.
So there's there are bits and pieces of story still attached to the campaign, but theoretically, yes. I've done the ending and then the ending of the post-ending stuff.
Same. I'm in the clean up Europa phase now.
and just getting raid ready.
Yeah, basically. And so and now we're back in the grind. Running strikes. The thing that I would say that I like the most about the expansion, and particularly on Europa, is the lost sectors, which have been on all planets. The lost sectors you can run solo heroic, so you can run them harder with with overload enemies, and like the enemies that are actually like one step closer to raid stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Is that a toggle that when you go into it, you just select which one?
yeah, I think you maybe have to have run it through once, which, you know,
Sure, yep.
Lost Sectors are 5-6 minute kind of runs, and then you can run them harder. And it's an interesting thing for a solo player to have access to, which it's never felt like there's been solo content.
No, not particularly. Or if you were doing it, you were going against the grain, or you were doing it not.
Yeah,
but
you're
it was
just,
going to be
like
tough
bouncing
for the
between public events and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely a game that's like mostly designed to be played with friends.
Yeah.
Which is great, but it's good that there is, as you said, Pete, there is like an option
And
and something to challenge yourself and your play style without you
Yeah.
having to have the, I gotta go now. Oh.
And also, I just say like the Nightfall is like that challenge where there's enemies that require like some understanding of the mods and the artifact that is attached to the season
Yeah.
that you wouldn't necessarily come across until you're forced to look for it. And so giving people another way to engage with the game in that way, it shows another layer of depth that people might not necessarily want to engage with.
Oh, but
once you see it, you go like, oh, cool, that's an interesting thing that I haven't been engaging with this game.
And that even if you just, like, anytime you're just adding more of that stuff where you're going in for your weekly, just got to run things, got to do things, got to hit this, like, weird kill 1,000 of this to get this part for the legendary whatever, then anytime you can have some stuff that just twists that rote thing, that's good.
I think what's cool about it too is that stasis does feel quite different to use, and I'm a person that gets really stuck using the same thing because I fear change.
So do I.
Yeah.
And so I use the same gun all the time. I use the same subclass. I even use the same like subclass, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so
He's one of the new...
It's like
the
a mission
Briggs,
where
yeah.
your goal is to blow them up. So
Yeah,
it's trying
yeah,
to
yeah.
find
Oh, that's right. He does.
Yeah.
so that it's really good that this content really forces you, like you have to use stasis. And I was like scared of it at first. I was like, I don't like it. And then over time, I started to kind of realize that it's really cool and there's cool ways that you can use it.
You're playing Hunter, right?
Yes.
So what's your stasis ability?
I throw the like ice wall grenades, and I have like a melee that shoots like ice knives that ricochet off multiple enemies.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
And are you a Warlock or a Titan?
Yeah, Warlock.
So what's your stasis?
Ice wall grenade, and I don't even know what I can't see what it is.
Yeah, right. Because I'm Titan.
Melee is like a thing.
Yeah, right.
But the Warlock super is sick. That's it there.
That's cool.
It's like you have an ice scepter. Like you're like fucking what's her face from Frozen.
It feels like
let it go.
I would say it feels like a cooperative ulti because it's very much about, I typically run Void because I love my bomb, but yeah, it feels like a cooperative thing. It's very much about freezing a group and then trying to get the shatter damage.
Yeah,
blowing up
yeah.
ice.
Yeah.
So it's like you're relying on your teammates to be blowing up the things you're icing.
Yeah, I think the thing that I don't like is the super, because I use Void as well with my Hunter, and I have that super that's just like you become super fast and you just like knife people really quick.
Yeah.
Which is like Hunter ninja specialty. And I love the satisfying feeling of just zipping around through a bunch of enemies and just cleaning up the floor really quick. Whereas the super for this is like I just shoot two really powerful shots one after another.
Yeah.
And then it's over and it's super disappointing.
That's my thing of like I run solar and I have this hammer that I throw. It's like Thor's hammer on fire.
Yeah.
And it is probably one of the most satisfying things I've ever done in a video game. Like, in the air, float and just hammer down. And it's like to give that up. My God, I better have a good super here. Let's get some people on the line as well. I want to start off with Avexia because like one of the biggest Destiny fans that we know,
Sure.
I would say.
Yeah.
Destiny superfan
Has
Avexia
all the raid jackets.
has all the raid jackets.
Yeah, that wins.
So Avexia, you're coming in hot, and Avexia, are you there?
Wait, back pockets on?
Good. It's a good bit. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I am very good. How are you finding Destiny?
It's good. I'm enjoying it. It's starting to get grindy,
As
but
it
only
does.
because I have to get to the level of day one raid.
Of course.
I think if they hadn't removed the content, I'd be enjoying it a lot more. There was some stuff that they just could have kept, I feel like, and it would have just been. It wouldn't have hurt, right?
And so, like, what has hurt? Like, what is it about what they've removed? What are you missing? What do you wish that was still there?
There's there's some stuff like even last season, the Umbrella Engrams. I thought that was a great system.
Yep.
The thing was just bagging.
Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't bagging it. I was just saying that I had to learn it really quickly and then it was just gone.
Yeah, and it was just really good because it gave you like the option to choose your rewards a bit better, which I think is starting to happen.
No. With Umbrella Engrams, the thing you don't have no idea about.
Because I was like, engrams are the only thing I knew. And they're gone.
Yeah,
different kind of thing.
no. And with the new season that started yesterday, I think they've started to bring some of that back, it looks like. So I'm only just sort of wrapping my head around the new seasonal activity. But it seems like they're bringing it back a little bit, and I'm hoping that once this season gets rolling, there'll be more content there again to keep me going.
Do you feel like, because obviously they have a content plan around the next few expansions that they have coming over the next however many years?
They've got 2 big ones coming over the next 2 years.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe they could have done like I don't know how they would have done it from a lore perspective or a story perspective, but do you think maybe they could have phased out some of the planets and then left a few? Because I understand they're trying to make way for new content. So they kind of just did like a hard reset of all of this stuff, but maybe they could have just like left a few and then taken them away later. The darkness is like that stuff from the Neverending Story, which is a very old reference, but it's like slowly creeping and absorbing stuff, but at a slower rate rather than just like all at once.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. And like I think once we get to, let's say, 12 months from now, and we get the Witch Queen DLC, we're going to be back to having a decent amount of content, because this time with the seasons, they're not getting rid of everything. So in 12 months, the stuff from Season of the Hunt should still be in the game. Like that's the season happening now.
Yeah.
So there should be, by the end of the 12 months, a lot more to do. It's just that we've got to get there first.
And I do think with I absolutely get the idea that they've removed content and that's harder for people who are really into it. I know even when I booted it up the first time, I was like, oh, there's definitely like less stuff here. But I think that they've said that they're going to bring stuff back. Like they are rotating it in some capacity. It's not necessarily like on a rotation, but like some things are going to come back. But I do think top level,
Which is
like
a funny concept for planets, you know? It's like, oh, Mars is back again. Wait, no.
Everything was destroyed.
And
it's back.
It's gone.
but I think when they bring it back, there will be some narrative thing that will be interesting about like where it's been and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But also, Vexia, I think that like you're incredibly into this. I think that with the launch of the new consoles, with the fact that they are away from Activision, they're streamlining in a way that's like they want to bring a bunch of new people into this game, and they want to bring them into a game that actually is like an inviting thing for them to go through.
Has a jumping off point.
Yeah, rather than just like completely overwhelmed from the beginning.
100%. I agree 100%. In terms of if you're a new player, right now is the best time to do it. It's very straightforward in my opinion compared to what it was 3 weeks ago when it was super confusing and convoluted, the way that you would just jump straight in and it'd just say, here you go, here's the game. And it wouldn't really tell you how to do anything.
So, Vexio, is what you're saying is it's probably sensible for someone to have waited and to maybe come into the game now and not have wasted those 3 weeks playing a game that is not there anymore. No, thank you for your agreement. Yeah,
you will.
All right, well, we'll let you go and continue getting ready for that jacket.
We want to see it when you get it, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it'll probably take about 6 months to get here, like the other two have. But
well, in the meantime, a fashion montage of your current raid jackets will suffice.
Thank you, yeah.
Pop them in the Discord.
All right,
Destiny 2 Discord.
All right, thanks, buddy. Talk later.
See ya.
See you, man.
Coming in next, we're going to talk to Decay. Decay, get ready. You're coming in hot. So hot that you're actually already in. Decay, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you are. How are you, buddy?
You watching the stream to
I
hear?
am. I was watching the stream.
Be on Discord. Be present on Discord.
Be present with
I'm
us
on
now.
Discord. I'm watching the stream. I'm in a lost sector. What can I say?
Decay and I ran Leviathan a couple of times together as well.
Yeah, cool.
When I say
Prestige.
Decay, we prestige it, and Decay carried me through it.
Yeah, good.
Nice.
So how are you finding Beyond Light?
It's more Destiny.
Thanks for your call.
Wow. A rousing recommendation.
Destiny players are so beaten.
Look, it's fun, but it's a bit of the grind getting ready for the raid. I think talking about the stuff that disappeared, a lot of that's to do. They've changed the engine.
We can
So
hear
they
you
actually
playing
had
Destiny.
to take it out.
I can hear your keys clacking.
It does. I feel like my
Yeah.
character looks different, and I don't like the vibrancy of my hair.
Yeah,
Because
they changed the character system a lot.
Yeah.
there.
and they broke the balls in the tower.
Yeah.
Beg your pardon?
They broke the balls in the tower.
There you go.
Are the purple ball's no longer purple?
What?
Yeah, I know, it's a weird colour. And
But it also, like, it just has a weird rubber band issue when you try to kick it. You
Well, a lot of-
you would
I must say
understand
I
this.
haven't
Oh,
been
yes,
in
I know
this,
this.
but-
I did this.
a lot of
So,
No, go ahead, DK.
yeah, they've had lots of things going away from Activision having enough resources, so I think that's why they had to sort of pull stuff out to get time.
Yeah.
A small indie studio joke, I suppose.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
totally.
They're basically it's the Hollow Knight of wherever they're based.
All right, we'll get back to your Lost Sector. Thank you very much, buddy.
Take care, guys.
See you, mate.
Anyway.
Maiden Muse in the chat said none of these conversations are encouraging me to pick up this.
It is a weird thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's like, it's that idea of like, it's very grindy, I'm doing more of what it is. It's like, but the enjoyment is there. And like,
I feel like my addiction has spread to lots of people.
Oh, totally.
Liz Dahlia was like, damn it, I'm installing this. I can't take it anymore.
Well, like, if you want to enjoy Destiny, be like Nick and play it sporadically, on and off, enjoy the content, because the people that we're talking to, you notice they're going, I'm just hitting that grind, and it's been out for like 2 days. Like, I'm hitting that grind, and it's like, oh, already, because I need to be ready for day one raid. It's like, there you go. Like, if you're actually just playing it like, you know, a mission or two a night and then run some things, this content will spread out in an enjoyable fashion. But Destiny players, they're a rare breed of people who have just been fucked over by a game they love for so many years that it's now like, they're like, I'm forcing myself to like this, but
but you make one more slip up and I'm out of it.
The interesting thing as well about Europa's big, but I felt like the story missions like all took place in the same building. And it was like,
yes,
part 1 you can go this far through the building. Part 2 you can go twice as far through the building. Part 3 you can go 3 times as far. So it's like that was disappointing when there's such a big world. And the other thing that they broke, I'm sure we'll line up on another caller, but the other thing that they broke was that a lot of stuff was tied to frame rate. And I assume they've done like a refresh of whatever that was for the new consoles because they knew they're going to lock it at 60 instead of 30 on the old consoles or whatever. But like anything that had a damage over time, some things that had damage over time were attached to the frame rate.
Right.
So there's weapons that were impossibly overpowered that they've had to remove from the game temporarily while they recode them because, you know, there's the damage...
dots at 240 frames.
Yeah, so the dots are tripled because of
right.
whatever. So it's like, oh, right, okay, we got to fix this shit. and when you made the joke, when Decoy made the joke about... Decay, sorry, made the joke about not having Activision attached anymore, there's actually potentially something in that. I mean, I don't know, Destiny's probably fucked up every release it's had, but it's like they don't necessarily have that oversight, you know, of the studio anymore.
Yeah.
They're doing what they want and maybe are missing some things like that.
Some mistakes along the way.
So they're going to roll out patches daily instead of that 30, 40 gig patch every month, COD style kind of thing.
Yeah,
They're like, we'll fix it in small iterations or something.
Well, that is the Destiny chat. We will be certainly hearing more, I feel like, over the course of the next few weeks as I finish it off. Steph and Pete get their week 1 raid. Raid
jackets.
When does it open?
Sunday, 3 a.m. or something.
Are you going to be there in time? Are you going to get there?
Well, I'm definitely like not gonna. I want to be carried through it, so I will wait for other people to do the raid. But I don't know. I have like
5 a.m.
work and stuff on, so I'm stressed about hitting the.
It's quite like that.
She's got the daily grind.
Yeah.
When it was announced that, you know, it's 2 weeks and you've got to get your light level to a certain level, I was like, sure, that's just like people committing to playing reasonably heavily over the first 2 weeks. It's people committing to grinding fucking hard, which makes sense because like the raids are the most challenging thing in the game. They're 4 core players until 2 weeks later when well, actually 12 hours later when the first people have finished it and they've uploaded the video of how to do it.
Yeah.
Because people, like, most people don't want to work out how to do the puzzles. They just want to perform the actions that complete the puzzle.
Yeah.
But the people that spend the first 24 hours grinding a raid.
Because they're so, every raid I've ever done, I remember marveling over the fact that somebody has had to work that out.
Yeah, totally.
Because they are not
They're
like
so obtuse
linear
and they're not
puzzles.
like-
they don't
yeah.
make sense. They're all strange patterns of things. It's crazy. But I
Everything
also
of beauty. But
yeah. But that's what I mean. Like to solve them seems insane.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like to hit the soft cap was like reasonable, but it's that sort of next.
Oh, it's
30
always that thing, yeah.
Levels. It's just it comes at a snail's pace, and it's
Totally.
just I just don't know that I'm going to get there in time.
yeah.
Well, let us know how you're feeling about Destiny 2 Beyond Light, either in the comments on the YouTube video or also in our Discord by heading into patreon.com/backpocket. Become a member of the community and let us know about how you feel about Destiny 2 Beyond Light. Up next, we are going to be talking about Spider-Man Miles Morales. If you have Spider-Man opinions, please jump into the Discord, into the On Hold channel, because we want to hear from you in a couple of minutes after this short Spider-Man tease.
You can fix this. Your way.
Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS5. Technically a game that I played on the PS4 and finished. So I kind of, I got 3/4 of the way through it and went, hang on a second, I'm not getting any of the joy that I should be getting out of this game. But I have finished it. You have...
Probably about 8 or 9 hours through it.
Oh God, how have you not finished it?
Oh, sorry, like maybe like six to 8 hours, and I'm doing side quests. I'm running around
right.
doing it. I'm collecting all the side caches. I'm doing lots of the little like Spidey app.
Yeah, right,
People
okay.
do the crimes around because I love it. I love this game. I love this universe.
Stefan, why? How much?
I just played a bit today, so I've just not played heaps, but I dabbled.
Yeah, and I've finished it in probably like 7 or 8 hours.
Yep.
Like in like 74.
Maybe it's been
74.
4.
Yeah, totally. There's no way you played 8 hours.
Maybe it's 4 hours.
And like 74% completion. So it's like,
Oh, right, okay.
that was basically just the story and a bit of the cache collecting that happened along the way.
Well then, so I just did mainline story as little as possible, just in terms of like, I didn't want to go collect things. I'm not here for that. But how are you feeling so far about everything you're playing, given how much you love?
Yeah, like I loved the PS4 Spider-Man 2018 or something. I love that. I got close to 100%ing that, and I'm really happy to be back in New York. I loved the Spider-Verse film that this is kind of running off on, just in terms of educating a lot of people about who Miles is as a character.
Yep.
And yeah, wonderful film, and just great to then have this character in that world. I think everything they've added to it in terms of the Venom powers, the flair that the character has, the storyline's really nice. Like, in terms of it's nice to be playing an origin Spider-Man story, because
We haven't had those before.
hang on. My point being is that the 2017 or whatever version was Spidey in full swing. It was like he's been doing.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying literally it's the only superhero thing that's ever been bold enough to do that. Every single other one has ever created has been an origin.
Agreed, but they've all been Peter Parker, and they've all been stories I know a lot better than I know this character's arc, and I just love the character of Miles. I think it's a lovely innocence that doesn't come with the same kind of like whingy teen naivety that you got out of regular Peter Parker and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's a great character, and yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I am playing it on the PS4, so and it. Yeah, it looks fantastic.
Doesn't it look great?
It still looks wonderful on it, and it obviously looks better on PS5, but I'm enjoying that. And just quickly, I've been playing the thing I love the most about it, more than I should love anything else about it, is that I am playing with the feature on the mod on my suit, which makes it that like 12 frames a second, which makes it feel like he's in a cartoon.
Oh, right.
While the rest of the world is running at a buttery 25 to 30. But it is still a very...
Because you're playing on OG PS4 as well.
I'm playing on
not
an
a Pro.
original, not a Pro. I'm playing on an original PS4.
How are you hearing the game?
It is absolutely taking off under my unit. It's like I'm actually playing with headphones.
Turner, who I danced for, Turner23, is in the chat right now. Missed the dance at the beginning, so go back and watch that. But said, what was it like on PS4 for those that didn't jump over to PS5? Having finished on PS4, like, I did check it out on PS5 and downloaded and played a little bit. I mean, the PS5 version shits all over the PS4 version, just in terms of like frame rate, load times, textures, the control, everything. But the PS4 version, spectacular.
Yeah,
like
it's a beautifully optimized game.
Yeah, you just I was playing it and I kept forgetting that I wasn't playing a next gen game.
Ignorance is bliss, I think.
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah.
There was, I think.
Allow me to be the ignorant one then.
Yeah. I think it's. I did not play the original game. Spider-Man has never like heaps interested me much, but I really wanted to play this to get a sense of like what the PS5 can do.
Yep.
And so everything was a revelation. And
He's got the Spider-Verse suit.
Yeah, right.
No, he's chasing chasing Spider-Man the cat?
Oh, right.
Because that's the little cat buddy from the bodega?
Yeah, right.
It certainly on that it certainly is that thing of like if you don't know what you're missing out on, and do not wait. It's like if you're getting a PS5 in 6 months, like play this game now.
The combat system is so involved, and the way the DualSense controller is kind of incorporated into that is so cool. Every time you use that, like, what do you call it? The power
Venom.
you have?
Venom
the
punch.
Venom punch,
Yeah.
and then when there's like electrical kind of explosions and stuff, there are like it kind of pings its way through the controller.
Yeah, right.
Like so there's like a big bit here and a little bit there. It feels like it's sparking in your hands.
Yeah, cool.
It's so cool. And then like you were talking about with the web swing and everything,
Yeah.
like it's a really great. If you want to spend money on a game to demo what the PS5 can do, I feel like it's a good example of utilizing all of that and just being really cool to play.
I love the idea that this is a shorter campaign in the intention that I'm probably going to play and finish it, and maybe I won't 100% it, but then when I do play a PS5, I think I'm going to replay it on it just purely to have that point of difference, and then knowing that it's a 6 to 8 hour campaign, I'm like, I can give this 2 nights over a weekend. And
just don't
play
collect
that
all
way.
your caches and just go get
Maybe
those.
I won't. Maybe I might jump back into the
100%
story and
later.
just keep doing it that way. But yeah.
Same old for you, Pete? In terms of like the first Spider-Man to this, because I know that you were like less enthused with this one.
Yeah, I am a little bit. How do I put this? I played for the first Spider-Man game. Was it 2018 or 19?
Yep.
It feels like it wasn't that long ago, and it was great. I feel like this is as good a game. To me, it feels like a DLC expansion that is priced as a full game. Again, because I finished it in 7 hours. That's not short. That's not like I don't feel ripped off, but I do feel like this is they're using a lot of assets, reusing a lot of assets, and the mechanically it feels basically identical, except for the extra couple of the Venom stuff and so, which you use all the time.
There's a fair bit of extra Venom. Like I would say that he feels totally overpowered compared to Peter Parker.
He's
like,
a lot
the amount of abilities, like between the Venom stuff, the invisibility, like I was like, this guy is.
Is there anything this kid can't do?
Yeah,
and he is stronger in just like button mashing combat.
Yeah.
Where Peter Parker's had a much bigger skill tree, and you would buy into different ways to approach combat.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just like brawl your way through everything because you're really strong.
I would say though, it's still. I wouldn't describe it as button mashy per se though. Like it's still quite complex, like button.
No.
Sure.
I reckon you're right. I looked at the moves list again, and I was like, I was remembering moves that I had. Like I like my swing
As someone
kick.
who
I like
doesn't play Dark Souls, like
it's
struggles
not,
with like a string.
It's not totally a masher. No, you're right.
Yeah,
but it's.
You were meaning more like you can, because this is what I did, because I was like, I don't want to go like. I was in that position where I was like, I have this game a couple of days early. I know all these games are coming. I'm just going to mainline this story because that's all I really care about is this.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go do all the side quests and extend my time with this. I'm just going to like tick off this story and be done.
Yeah.
So I therefore didn't get a ton of the upgrades, which means I didn't get a ton of the extra moves. So I button mashed my way through this by being like, I mainly just like hook onto guys, pull them up to me, punch,
Yeah.
and it was much more that and the venom powers as opposed to like the moveset.
Yeah,
right.
but the moveset you get. Like, this is the skill tree.
Yeah.
I finished the game and I had 90% of it
Totally.
full.
Yeah.
You will just organically
I'm unlocking it going, which one? I'm like, oh, hang on, it's not
You
one
get
of those.
all of it,
It's not one of those ones. It's, I have enough.
And you
to get
will
all
if you 100%
Yeah, right.
easily.
But
get it.
but what you don't get is like upgrading your web slingers, upgrading your like the
There's a little bit of that in
decoys,
the
sort of thing.
suit mods.
Yeah, but I just was like, I don't have enough material.
Back to the point that
yeah.
Steph was about, like, I would say, like, when I re-looked at that moves list of how many combos there are that you can juggle enemies and you can web dash and do it all, I'm like, it does make me really happy that it's not just like you've got a strong and a light attack and you mix it up. It's like, oh, when you look at it, like, I'm relearning how to do things. It's like, no, it's Venom Punch and then rope that guy up.
Yeah, and then
juggle
long
that
press this
guy,
button to send them up into the air and then pull them down and
pull
then
him down and then keep
Yeah.
him stunned and then do that one. I'm like, I love that that's that much complexity to a superhero that has so many cool moves and it's not just...
Yeah, and I think you find the moves that you like to do, and you do end up kind of repeating that pattern, though.
Yeah.
Like Steph was saying, it's like you have your way to approach stuff, and you know you got to dodge when you need to dodge. The game feels amazing looks and feels amazing on PS5. I am probably the biggest naysayer of the DualSense controller feedback here.
You said, and like I've only played it for an hour or so I can't speak to that. But you saying that your hand was getting sore.
I played this in like two 4-hour sessions or whatever.
Sure.
And like my finger was like feeling the weight of the trigger, which was cool because you're web slinging and it feels like that. But it's like I don't need this in my life. I don't need like carpal tunnel from my.
With all these PS5 games that use the dual sense, is there, like, in all these games, just the ability to go and turn that off?
I believe you can just.
Yeah, okay.
absolutely.
Just asking, because I assumed it's one of those things that you...
It's also like, in theory, could be an accessibility problem if you're making it more difficult to use the controller.
And I'm sure, like, as I was saying with COD and stuff, people are
which is why you need to go
esports and stuff. Yeah, they've turned
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I will. We'll get some people in 1 second. The last thing I wanted to touch on just before we do is the story. And I hope there's some people who are calling in who really like the story, because I was very underwhelmed by it. I really. I hated the voice actor for Miles. I just feel like he was just this one-note whiny voice the whole time.
I really like it.
Everyone likes it. Like everyone else I've heard is like, I really liked it, and I was just like, oh god, he's annoying. But more than that, I just feel like, even though I like a short campaign, for me, what that short campaign did is take what felt like a 15 to 20 hour idea and compress it down to 5.
Yeah.
And by compressing it down to 5, I won't say what they are. They are the twists that, if you know anything about Miles Morales, you know a lot of these. But when reveals happen, it's literally like a reveal happens and Miles goes, what? And then the other person says their next sentence, and then Miles is like, okay, this is all normal now.
Yeah.
And
there's
it's
no
like
hold, there's no
there's no just like coming to terms with the earth-shattering, life-changing reveals that happen to this character.
Yeah.
He just is like, oh, this is just how it is now.
I feel like that's poor direction, though.
Yeah.
Than a fault of the actor.
Yeah.
Oh no! Sorry, that's a separate. The voice actor was just that, but it is the storytelling of this game. It's very corny. It's very sappy. The family stuff is just.
I found the same. I feel like there's some really nice moments, and I feel like most of the voice acting is good. It's hard watching cutscenes that look almost as good as The Last of Us, but don't have the mocap to match it.
Yeah.
They feel like the best version of a CGI cutscene you can get without having Troy Baker. Like wearing a flesh suit.
When there's like a character says something and a character is reacting with like a facial expression. Last of Us is like there's twitching and eyes and pupils dilating, and this is
here it's where their head turns. And if they're like grumpy to happen.
And I would say you don't need to be a revolutionary story in a comic book video game, but I found it was like even retreading the beats of every Spider-Man story ever told, and Rhino, whatever his name is the worst hero. He's poorly written. It's just like
hero.
A bad villain. He's just like he's just a bad character. It's like his thing is he's big. And it's like, that's so underwhelming to fight. And I'm pretty sure you fight him in the first Spider-Man on the street at one point.
I was trying to
I think he
remember
gets locked up quickly, but it's like...
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember that.
Again?
Look, you're right in terms of the campaign length, and for someone who's still midway through it, and this is a very hang-up that comes from me, my age, experience with games, I think I'm enjoying the process of playing right now, knowing that it's going to be shorter. Outside of going for those caches and those extra side missions, I think I will probably therefore be disappointed when the story is finished and I'm like, that was a lot shorter than I wanted. But it's that catch-22. If I'm playing a longer game and I know how much is ahead of me, I'm kind of fatigued already before I go through with it. Whereas here it's like, I'm enjoying that I feel like I'm making a good pace through it all. But you're right in terms of one of the things that from the previous Spider-Man game was great was those literal moments of downtime where he's like, I finished a story beat, I'm now going to swing around and wait for an objective to pop up. My character is going to actually talk about think out loud about what the ramifications of the thing that's just happened. Like Peter Parker literally thinks and talks about it and then has some side missions. And so that does stretch that out in a way that feels right for the story.
Yeah.
And you're right here. It does feel like from what you've told me in terms of like, you can move through those story beats far quicker. Does it come at the cost of the character?
Yeah. You've both hit what makes me feel like it's a weird mix of DLC and stuff. It's like it's this super polished game. Like everything they've done is really polished. All the voice acting, like I know you don't like Miles' voice acting.
I'm the only
but
one.
It's like
so I
there's
think
great,
it's wrong.
there's great character interaction.
I
but
like
it feels
all the family stuff
and
too.
I kind of when I was doing it was like I like that it's really pulling me through really quickly.
Yeah.
It's like you have a moment, you get a breath, and it's like your mate's on the phone. He's like, "There's another mission over here." Yeah. And it's like I'm swinging. I'm already on my way to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm like, so yeah, it's just very expensive for what felt like a quick experience, and it was trying to get me through it quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the chat, old mate Dave said that he said that I'm massively wrong about all but he did bring up the point. That's what happens when you blitz through the story and fast travel everywhere. I didn't fast travel anyway, but I did blitz through the story. He talks through, Miles talks through and works through everything when you wing around and traverse the environment. I found the wow moments really wow. Discovery's powers felt great, and he really loved the story, and it touches on a lot of things happening in 2020. I totally take that point, and there were some times where he's swinging around and he's calling his mate and he's like talking to her in his head. I still just found it I still just feel like he kind of, that was just the sort of, he's not really grappling.
Sure,
he's talking through something, but it's not like
you're not getting that emotional impact.
Yeah, it doesn't have an emotional impact, and it also doesn't have like okay, what is the character going to do now with this information? Like, how is this information changed the perspective of this character? And I feel like it never did, and that stuff would have happened in the bigger scenes. And then just very quickly before we bring someone in, the stuff with the 2020 things, I think there is lots of stuff relevant to what's happening right now. I do think there's also other stuff in there which I think is difficult given how quickly a lot of the world changed. But when it comes to like cops and police authority and that sort of thing, there's some weird messaging in this game that just doesn't really match up, I feel like, with what's happening in 2020. I can't necessarily put that on the game, though, given how I know development cycles work. But
and also just on the development cycle, knowing that this was probably a faster turnaround or a mildly faster turnaround because they're trying to match the launch of the PS5. And you're right, it is criminally expensive for a game that's this short. I wonder if there are any hopes that like there will be sort of free expansion, not maybe free, but like a DLC on this. I don't think there's been any talk about it whatsoever, but it feels
DLC for this.
Yeah, it feels due, like that, for the cost that it was, that if there was an expansion or any extra...
No, like this was DLC that they spinned off into a game. Like they're not DLC in the DLC.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I'm being optimistic, but you're right, it was $90 digitally for this, for an 8-hour campaign, which, look, talk to me in another week or two when I finish it.
There's a lot of love for Miles, though, and the family dynamic.
Which is what's upsetting, that there should be a bigger
There could be a sequel to this that's a bigger game.
Yeah.
I think there probably could be. I reckon that will be the path to go down, which I think would be... Okay, let's get someone in. We're going to start with Ben Argan, because Ben, I know you were the person I saw on day one with the PS5 playing this game straight up, and then you're immediately in the Discord chatting about it. So I'm bringing you in now. You're deafened. I hope you're undeafened by the time I drag you in. Ben Argan, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Excellent. How did you find your time with Miles Morales?
I think I like it more than the first Spider-Man.
Wow.
Yeah, cool.
Explain.
So I went back and finished off a bunch of like the little side quests and stuff today, and started playing around in New Game Plus just because I wanted to see how I felt about it, like a little bit after.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I also played a bit of Spider-Man Remastered, and going back to that after playing Miles just feels a lot better gameplay-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I think the added abilities definitely it does make it feel a bit overpowered, but it like adds a certain flashiness and flair to the combat that wasn't really there in the first game. Like it was just your generic Batman Arkham fighting style.
Totally,
I guess.
And I feel like in the first game, because you didn't have those Venom powers, you had to be clever about how you approached combat as opposed to feeling powerful in it. You had to pick off as many people as you could before engaging in the final kind of couple of people. And when you got into those situations where it threw a bunch of people at you and you couldn't do anything about it, that was really challenging. Whereas here it's like, oh, this is going to be fun because I'll just like ground pound and I'll jump across. And
The thing I'd mention in that regard is I also played the game on hard. Which I think had a massive impact on how I felt about that, because the game was genuinely difficult.
Yeah, I would have had a bad
those
time on hard.
These bases and stuff.
So you didn't play on friendly. Hard. You played on, what was it? There was like the settings were all amazing or
it was,
incredible.
I think it was amazing or spectacular, one of the two.
Yeah, you were spectacular.
And yeah, so I think that helped a lot. And like in regards to the story, I come from the perspective where I don't mind like a shorter 8-hour experience. I think it's fine. I think it's actually. I think the original Spider-Man kind of was a bit long in the tooth in some ways.
Yeah.
Once you got,
I agree with
there was
that
just
as well.
like, I don't want to spoil it in case anyone hasn't played it, but like, there's just so much that keeps on going. You keep rolling from one thing to another thing to another thing, and also there's just like, as I said, going back to the remastered version, there's so much on that map to do. I like that all the little extra things on this map to do feel like succinct. There's not a lot of them. They each have their own cool little backstory. I don't know. I definitely get that it's a very generic comic book story, but I think given what character Miles is and the fact that he's like an up and coming Spider-Man, I think he needs this kind of story. I feel like we have fatigue from Spider-Man origin story. It's pretty obvious, and Miles is different enough to me that I enjoyed it. I also think the other problem, which I think is why some people may be down on it, and this isn't the fault of the game, but the fact that Spider-Verse came out and was such a good Miles story, nothing can really live up to that.
Totally.
I kind of wonder in a world if this game came out like 2 years ago, if we'd feel like completely different on it.
I think I would be less harsh on it if the original Spider-Man didn't exist, because I do feel like it could probably use a little bit more fleshing out of story beats, but it is a more concise game and story. There's less fluff around the city, and you're right, everything feels like it has purpose. And the fact that it is a reskin of a game that already exists makes it feel expensive to me. But if that game didn't exist, I think this almost is fairly priced. It's just the fact that it's off the back of an engine that already exists and a game that already exists that makes it feel like it should be a cheaper buy-in.
But like Ben said as well, like we're fatigued not only because we played the previous game, or most people have, is that we're also fatigued from comic book origin style stories. We're also fatigued from Spider-Man because we've literally had 3 versions, 4 including Spider-Verse. So having had all of that, there's no way to have avoided that. This therefore feels like the right kind of Spider-Man game because you're hitting all those beats, and as Ben, I'm assuming you're saying you enjoyed it in a more condensed fashion because you have all of that context, and most people do. Like, no one's going, hang on, he's a spider and a man. I need to know more.
I do like the way they've kind of, because you're right, it's not an origin story, but there is an element of a passing of the torch while Peter Parker goes away, and he is still very, like, he makes some catastrophic mistakes at the start that let you know that he's not like, at the top of his game yet, and you have like room to grow without it necessarily being a full origin story for him. But you're right, there's so much love for him as a character. It's nice to be able to kind of grow with him and go on that journey, even if it does feel like what would have been great is if he got a full sequel, down the track in a game that is in a new engine and feels completely different. And kind of deserved it.
As someone who's very into the Marvel comics, I kind of like how they spun it with him, because the issue is he's a pretty new character in the comics. So he doesn't have a lot of established lore behind him, other than like the Prowler, his uncle, which is like the classic one that you kind of know. And so they kind of had to write their own thing, and I think they did a pretty good job of it, and they made the Tinkerer into a interesting character, which is pretty impressive. The final thing I just want to say is that as trying to avoid spoilers as much as possible, but Troy Baker is in this game, and Troy Baker plays the most Troy Baker character.
It is Troy Baker, isn't it?
We were talking about it, and I was rattling off all these people who he sounds like, and I was like,
it's the guy you think it is.
I was like, it's the voice that I just recognized, and I was like, he sounds a little bit like this guy or that guy, and then I was like, I've got to look it up, and then I was like, it's Troy Baker.
He's like, hey, Spider-Man, we'll take it from
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Okay. That makes sense. All right. Thanks, Ben.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
Bye, Zed. We are going to bring in a little someone called a Little Will.
Oh! Hey!
Hey, Little Will.
Hello.
Hey, Little Will's mum. Have you finished it yet?
No, Roxy isn't here.
God bless you.
I'm minutes away from a platinum.
Platinum.
Hello.
Wow.
Fancy boy.
Yeah.
If anyone was going to platinum this, it was you, Will.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize.
No, apologize.
Is this why your work was late this week?
No, I mean,
I'm joking.
A glimpse behind the curtain. There was a moment where 2 days ago, Will's like, okay, so I'm going to sync up the footage now. And then I sent Gus a message. I'm like, he's only syncing up the footage now.
And to which, without talking to you, Will, I was like, no, he's totally on top of that. Like, we're on everything's meeting their deadlines. Everything's fine.
But that's very funny because the work was spectacular and the delivery was on point and there was no problem. But there was a moment where I was like, that little fucker's been playing video games all week. Okay.
Now back to my job. I'm playing video games all day. Will, talk.
How do you feel about it?
I really enjoyed it. I'm in a similar vein story-wise that it is very, very compressed, that it could have been blown out. But the one thing, and I think it's been touched on a little bit, is all those side missions, and again, avoiding spoilers, they all have a conclusion that I think helps build. Yep. And they're actually, story-wise, worth playing, even though it is just grabbing a bunch of caches. There's cinematics, there's little beats within them that I think do actually help build. But it is the issue with big, I think specifically just the last Spider-Man game as well, is those beats will play out of order if you don't kind of jump on them where the game wants you to, but it doesn't tell you to jump on them.
Right.
There's there's the collectibles around the world that have a story attached to them, which fleshes out the main campaign. But also the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man app.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's missions in that, which I'm like, I'll do one of these, and I'm like, oh, this went for half an hour.
Totally. That's why I stopped doing them because I was like, I thought this is just a 3-minute swing by.
Yeah.
But this is a full-on collect a bunch of pigeons and help this guy with his pigeon criminals. And
that's why I was really happy with them, because I'm like, oh, these are going to be like, they've taken the side mission and said, let's make these substantial. Yeah. You're saying that they then follow.
There are characters that you interact with in the side missions that are involved in the story later on. I'm not sure how differently that would have played out, other than the fact that I recognize them from the thing that I did. But you're totally right, Will, in being like, as much as like the first Spider-Man was about like, this is like long in the tooth and I'm trying to get through the story, this feels like every bit of extra you do along the way, and you do get a warning before. It's like, you can't earn any more credits if you start this mission. It's like, all right, that's the boss fight. If you clear up the map, I'm sure you'll get more story. The pacing of the main story isn't going to get fixed by that, but the fleshing out of Miles Morales' Harlem is going to, for sure.
And I did really like Miles as a character. I think the character of Miles I really dig. Will, Again, being very conscious of spoilers, I'm thinking about the post-credits scene here, which is kind of the most spoilery you could get because it's literally the end of the game.
Hang on, I can't see. Am I talking to Gus or Nick?
Oh, turn your work in on time. That scene. Not spoiling anything, but that feels like how Gus was saying, like, could there be DLC for this? Do you think that that's an indication that the next Spider-Man game we see will be Miles and Peter?
I think just the opening of the game when they're kind of, which is in the playback, of them working together is kind of a bit of a hint towards what it might be. Whether it's like a GTA punch out and punch back in and Miles is eating a churro or something. Mm-hmm. Like if it is switching between them, or it's like, gameplay wise. My thing, and this isn't relating to that post-credit scene, is it has to be like a Spider-Verse game because you can't do New York in the way it's been done twice already.
Yeah.
So you have to go big or anything. But I don't know. I don't know if that post-credit scene quite hints directly towards.
I just feel like it hints very clearly towards. Like, it ties into the first game, and I'm like, it's weird that you're adding that onto the end of your
DLC
of your like spin-off game, because it's like advertising a different game in like in another game.
I totally get that.
Also, just to ask Will, obviously, are you playing with low frame rate Spidey suit?
Absolutely. I'm the worst. I'm just only playing the Spider-Verse suit with the Spider-Verse ability. And one of the cool things with that ability is you can apply that to other suits. It doesn't just have to be the Spider-Verse suit, which is sick.
But really you are sticking with the animated suit the whole time.
Yeah, I am. And which is really cool is the previous game didn't quite nail it, is when mask off, you still get that. And if there's a mask on a table or something, it's the Spider-Verse mask. Or whatever suit you're wearing,
right.
Cool.
Yeah. And do you remember who you went and saw the Spider-Verse film with?
I think it was Nick.
There was like brown hair, there was beard.
Close enough, beige shirt, one of them.
We had a good time.
Something like that, yeah.
We saw that and it was like, how joyful was us, like seeing that film was just a wonder. Like, we did not expect it to be amazing.
No.
It was like hooting and hollering.
It was bouncing on your seat. Yeah. Joy.
I saw it by myself because I see a lot of movies by myself.
Yeah.
And it was great.
So did I. All right, thanks, buddy.
Oh, good. I will just also quickly say, best photo mode in a video game.
Oh, very good.
Incredible thing.
Love that photo mode.
Really?
Oh, it's so good.
Chuck them in the Discord or something.
The only photo I took was when I glitched through the wall and I was like, I'm taking a photo of this.
Sorry, before we move on quickly, I've run into some hilarious glitches. I am playing on the OG PlayStation 4, that's probably why. The guy you hand the cat back to in the bodega, two of them just standing there. And he walks into his own cutscene and the other one doesn't talk and just watches. Fucking terrifying. Mum on the phone at Thanksgiving just turns her head and the phone just floats around the room. I was like, I gotta capture this. I think I have a few screenshots. So I'm going to blame the old console for that, but wonderful bugs.
I don't think you can blame the old console for that because I'm pretty sure on the PS5 version, Spider-Man's turning into like trash cans and all sorts of inanimate objects and swinging through this.
That's great.
And they did add, I think, the Easter egg from the first game, which is when people swung far enough out to a boat that had a person that only had two flat textures for a face. So it's this weird triangle face, and everyone went and found this character. Will, you probably... Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They've kept that in the PS5 version on purpose.
That's
so
great.
if you go and find that person, he's just like almost a GoldenEye charactered face that's just like
so
two things.
Wonderful. You need him for the platinum. All right, thanks, Will.
Mom, I want a cake.
So that is our thoughts on Spider-Man Miles Morales. If you've got thoughts, let us know in the comments of the YouTube video or on our Discord at patreon.com/backpocket. We are taking a very short break now. We're taking a very short break.
We're going to take a short break.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to round out the evening talking Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Mm-hmm. So we're also going spoilers on the story for this. Full spoilers.
Spoilers on the story.
And so if you have played it and finished it, then you're good to go. And if you don't care about Call of Duty, then hang out while we just rip on Call of Duty. We'll be back after this.
Loki Cat, we're sorry.
fighting from overhead. We're playing.
Loki Cat wants you to think he's a good-looking man who wistfully looks off into the distance at weddings. But what is he hiding? Not only is he not the Norse god of mischief and the rightful heir of Jotunheim, he's not even a real cat. He was born a boy. But now that boy's all grown up, and that overgrown boy loves birds.
The man likes his cockatiels.
But does he love those birds too much?
This man sleeps with birds.
And cockatiels aren't the only Australian icon he's tried to fuck.
Those are flamin' pros.
Is this flamin' galah who you want in charge of the country if he ever decided to run for political office? Loki Cat. When you head to the polls this weekend, make this 9th life his last. Authorised and paid for by Nick Boy Richardson.
Mountain!
You know what you did, Loki Cat. Thank you very much, Loki Cat, for your incredible patronage of the beautiful show that we call Back Pocket. And thank you very much as well for sending me all those pictures of you. And I will say, I said to him, hey, I need a bunch of pictures of you because I'm going to make a very defamatory takedown commercial. And he was like, okay, here you go. And then just said like 8 photos, and then the last one was that one with Alf. I know. He's like, I'm sure you'll have fun with this. And I went, what is the context behind this? And he said, I'm not telling you.
So the best part was then I was cutting it and I was looking up best Alf quotes to get some footage of him in there. I went down a deep rabbit hole of looking at Alf Stewart from Home and Away for like a good hour, just watching his best quotes. Amazing stuff on YouTube. Highly recommend.
So thank you again, Loki Cat. We love having you as part of the Back Pocket family. All right, we are about to talk. Oh, and also Belly Kate. Thank you for your word from our sponsor. That's a beautiful mountain. That's a good climb. Yeah. Climbing as a couple, that's the cutest thing ever.
It is cute.
Mountain. We climb mountains. What do you guys do?
Sometimes we climb mountains. I hike alone.
That's how we cleanse ourselves from stasis.
That's right, I'm going to stream in the morning for 6 hours, then we're going to walk on a mountain for half an hour, then I'm going to stream for another 8 hours. We are about to talk about Call of Duty. We're about to talk about Call of Duty story spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoiled for the story, and while I will say, spoilers, the story is terrible, that there are big spoilers for the story. Yeah. So even if you are like, oh, I want to play COD even if I know the story's terrible, and you want to be pure, the twists are big. So you have been warned. Let's jump into Call of Duty. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. The last Call of Duty, arguably, like last year's Call of Duty.
Yeah, Modern Warfare.
A pretty spectacular,
Very good.
game. Single player, fantastic. The multiplayer, fantastic. The Warzone, fantastic. The year before that, I believe we didn't even have a single player, and so it's like, oh, what's been going on there? Didn't have it. And so then it was like, no single player. Single player campaign out last year was fantastic. Coming to this, high expectations. This is interesting. Black Ops is generally like a pretty interesting, cool narrative world to jump into.
Yep.
Which one of you should I start with?
I feel like I know where Pete's going to go with this, so I'm going to take the lead just to say I
love it.
I did not love it. I agree with your sentiment before that the story is stupid.
You are typically.
I'm sorry. I just raised the audio for the audience, and he was like, "Bad, I know," or something.
Yeah, great.
Perfect time.
But you are typically an 80s genre fanatic.
Yeah,
I would say.
and a Call of Duty fan.
Yeah, I'm a Call of Duty fan.
This is the ideal game for you, arguably.
Yeah, it should be. I have enjoyed the Black Ops campaigns and their sort of fun, silly, twisting history, having a bit of fun with all bit of
Vietnam.
Yeah, a bit of Vietnam, a bit of mind brainwashing, all that sort of stuff. I will say, admittedly, I've said this before, like, I don't love the single-player Call of Duty experience. Like, I find the narrow corridors, the sort of pop-up shooting gallery style of it, very at odds with how I enjoy the multiplayer. Specifically, now I'm a big fan of Warzone. It's like, the way I engage and have shootouts and stuff like that is very different from the pop and go kind of like just super over the top explosive kind of action in single player. Story wise, this delivered in the sense that I expected it to be bombastic and stupid and bounce around. But I would say I was disappointed with the fact that the settings were basically going, okay, we're taking an 80s aesthetic, but then we're going back to Vietnam and we're going back to like Cold War Russia and like these, I'm sorry, not back to, but like
in the 80s, but in the 80s in places where
Cuba
it still looks like that now.
Yeah, there's that. And they have locations that have been visited both in Black Ops games and other Call of Duty games I want to have a guess at. Like Cuba and that sort of area. Like I've seen a lot of these locations, a lot of these enemy types.
Where would you have liked the game to have taken?
I mean,
Miami. 80s Miami.
No, seriously,
Florida.
It's a multiplayer map. 80s Miami is a multiplayer map that I genuinely thought there could have been a cool mission in the US that would have been doing something fun.
Yeah.
Without spoiling things, there is a very clever mission, or it's a very interesting mission that does take you to some interesting locations or sort of shooting areas within a larger environment. I've broken Nick's brain. We can talk about it a bit later.
Where? No, we said it's
spoilers.
Spoilers, right? There is a facility that you go to.
Oh,
the
American world?
Which is a huge bunker that they've built American towns inside of. Kind of like a training facility for Russia to be invade.
It's actually amazing.
Great.
That's pretty cool.
It's this huge facility, and then you go in there, and it's like 1950s. No, it is the 80s.
It is the 80s. It's like
but like a
town,
full little
where it's
town.
like, they built.
Is it like Celebration Florida?
I think I know what you're getting at. Kind of like the Disneyland. What do they call it?
That weird kind of perfect Pleasantville.
Yes. Yeah. It's like the town square from Back to the Future 2.
It is.
Yeah.
And it is all under lights in a huge bunker. So that was a clever level that I was like, that was cool. I thought the whole game was going to be really engaged, that kind of like fun's not the right word, but then to have a lot of these like very dark sort of as I said, going back to Vietnam a couple of times and that sort of stuff, I didn't think was necessary. I thought they could have been cleverer with the story. Overall,
sorry, no, you go over.
Top line is that I enjoyed the story while I played it. I think it really lets itself go in the third act, and the third and final act. I think it really drops the ball. I had a lot more fun with it leading up to that, and I will never replay it again, as is typical with COD campaigns.
And so just quickly, like a broad overview of that story is that you start the game and you're playing as some of the Black Ops teams that we've seen before. I think you play as Mason at the beginning.
You do some missions as Mason.
Yeah. And there is a Russian bad guy called Perseus, very mysterious, and he has stolen the access to a bunch of American nukes, the like access codes to a bunch of nukes. And then you
A new agent joins?
Yeah, like you get put in the shoes of a new agent. You pick whether they're male or female or non-binary. You fill out some details about like their tendencies, which I liked that of like you fill out that.
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah,
it gives you perks.
Yeah, and it never came up again, really. But like, yeah, you fill out the like stat sheet and some of the perks of like if you have a violent, like on your report, it's like you have a violent tendency, which means 25% more death.
I actually enjoyed that you got to double up. You got 2 of those perks.
Yeah.
And the one I picked was that I don't flinch as hard when I get shot, which is a huge gripe I have with COD, is that the amount of that damage hit, the vignettes, all that kind of stuff drives me mental. It's like, oh, great, I can try and minimize that. Bit more health, not have to worry about it. So.
Yeah, I liked that stuff. And then you basically go and hunt down Perseus. You're sent by Reagan as part of the like Black Ops team of like, Reagan's like, you need to go out and get this guy. And then there's a lot of like flashbacks to Nam and your team sort of like trying to track down Perseus. We'll get to the twist, I guess, a bit later. But the first three quarters of the game, I was like, the story's fine. It felt way more just like, I think it's embracing an era of America, the Reagan era, where it was like perfect America in the eyes of like a lot of Americans. Very debatable about whether or not that's perfect America, but whatever. And so it felt even more like just fucking America hoorah.
Fist pumping.
Yeah.
Even though they're trying to put a bit of a, I wouldn't say ironic spin, but they're like, oh, this is a very tongue-in-cheek look at it. I'm with you. It didn't come off as, I wasn't looking for like black comedy or humor or like being sort of, but I was looking for it to just be a bit more forced tongue-in-cheek than it actually was. It took itself too seriously again. Which
like
is the way I saw
like the main guy who looks like Robert Redford is always wearing sunglasses and always smoking a cigarette, and then always throwing a cigarette halfway through.
To the point that when you do an infiltration of like a KGB style headquarters, and you go in, which is actually the mission I want to touch on that I really enjoyed the most. It felt kind of like GoldenEye days. You had objectives. You're not really shooting anyone until the mission obviously goes haywire at the end. But you do a part where that Robert Redford character, you have to steal some uniforms, and he puts his uniform on, turns to you, and he's still wearing his giant gators. And like his huge scar on his cheek. Like
totally. I was like, you look like Elvis. Take him off.
It was ridiculous.
Like Brad Pitt in Inglourious
But that's a funny thing to bring up, because the tone of Inglourious Bastards makes that whole film work. Whereas they don't have that tone in this.
No.
And it just feels.
And if anything, they do the opposite. So you've got these arguing characters all at a safe house in between missions, and you've got some of the most forgettable or at least hateable main characters, because you've got Woods from the first one, who's got the beard, who swears a lot, and he's like the Nam vet who's like, I'm really angry, I shoot stuff, and it's like, okay, fine. Then you've got Mason, who was from the first Black Ops, which was Sam Worthington voiced the character. You were basically like a faceless protagonist with Sam Worthington's voice, who could be totally disposed of at the end of that, because there's a twist about who Mason was, and then he comes back as part of the team, and he's so generic and so unlikable, and you're like, don't make a team of people. Then you have the bald guy with the glasses who's like, just I'm the angry leader from the CIA who was in the old Black Ops, who was the one getting angry at Mason, so they're all buddies now. And then you have new Robert Redford, who is basically bald guy wearing a wig with aviators. And then at one point they're all kind of like
Park, don't forget Park, the woman.
So yeah, Park, the woman, is the only character I care about.
An arcade room. That's very
This is the thing.
Yeah. This is the 180s bit that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. You go around and play on the
only good joke in the entire thing is he walks in and like grabs one of the dummies and is about to garrote it, and then realizes it's not a person, and he drops it. He's like, not a word to anyone.
There's a few extra characters that come into that. There is a base, you go back to a headquarters, where I think there is a lot more to unpack if you really were into the campaign. Black Ops is very good at, like the previous Black Ops games, hide a lot of stuff cryptically in the game, in the single player. If you get the right amount of evidence, if you found pickups, they would unlock things for you in the campaign. I imagine you guys didn't either. I didn't really explore that safe house. I didn't talk to many people in the
I did.
Okay, right.
Yeah, because so my experience with Call of Duty campaigns is I play them all through on veteran. I want them to be like as hard as they can be, because I know they're short. And they're not typically that hard on veteran anyway, but it's just like, because you're just finding the next checkpoint, right? Yeah. And then it's all about set pieces. I don't care about the story, really. I feel like Modern Warfare was the first time since the first Modern Warfare where I was like, oh, cool, there's like a story being told here that's actually being reasonably well presented to me. Whereas this felt like all the Call of Duties between where they paid Kevin Spacey to be in this thing, and the only bit I remember from that game is running around with a knife at the end, or you lose your arm or something. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. And this again had like, it didn't have set pieces like that, except for the mission in the Kremlin.
Yeah.
And because this is like,
wait, was it in the Kremlin?
I believe it's in the Kremlin.
Oh, right. You didn't see the exterior. I did.
No,
they just talk about it in the cutscene. Yeah.
Got it. I wasn't listening.
Yeah, and Black Ops, yes, does the like, what do the numbers mean, Mason? That kind of bullshit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to look around the safe house to try and find stuff. I interacted with the computer that I ended up having to interact with later that didn't do anything for me when I interacted when I wanted to. Each mission has
hidden evidence.
It's not even hidden.
Yeah,
it's evidence. And yes, if you find other evidence in the missions that is useful for solving these other two things that I thought were going to be a bigger part of the story, and they just kind of change a non-cutscene.
Two optional missions, essentially is the way to look at it. Two optional missions that have an ability for you to pick out a puzzle at the start of it, which is either deciphering a code or picking some double agents. And then that has really, I don't think really any effect on the mission itself. I only did one of them, which was the picking the double agents. And then I did the mission, and maybe it was because I picked them, maybe it was telling me it was giving me more waypoints in the mission. But the mission itself was like a Spec Ops. You went to a large map and you had to kill someone. You had to run around and kill them.
It didn't. The people that you pick from those photos just get eliminated by other operatives. You're just there for the main dude. Can
I really jump in here? It's this great little set piece where it's basically you have a bunch of photos of all these people who are agents with code names, and the evidence you get is like which was in which city and who of them has traveled to which city. So line it up. My one, I'm assuming because it does randomize for other players. My one had all the code names of Stoneman and Juggler and something like that. And out of the like 5 guys and 3 women that were in the lineup, mine were like, person number 1, she is worried about doing this and that. Person number 2, she is worried that the agency will not know who she is. And the third one was like, she is an agent that is doing that. I'm like, there's only 3 women to pick from. I was like, oh, click, click, click. Nailed it. And I had got all the evidence, but I'm like, you hadn't thought about that.
So yeah, the story takes place like any, or the mission's structure is like, here's a different location per mission. They try to do some clever things in this game, particularly in the last scene, a classic Vietnam thing. It's like, they do Bioshock. So the thing that shits me the most about this game is it's like it's plotting along as a pretty average COD shooter. Every story beat that's like almost interesting turns out to not be interesting, like making a character that's got different skills and stuff doesn't really affect the game.
Right.
And then
But as they're going through, as you're getting towards the end of the game, more and more they're like Perseus, someone has been working with Perseus who knows something about it, and also constantly you characters are talking to you, particularly Robert Redford impersonator, he's talking to you about like, remember Vietnam, remember this stuff we did together, blah, blah, blah. And as you're going through that, you're like, why do you keep saying this stuff?
Also, like narrative as a narrative device. Also, I just need to prefix again. Like, I had a lot of fun with this campaign because it was dumb. But some of the narrative devices. One of the first missions you do is like, hey, we need to get some information of that mission we did in Vietnam. Do you remember the mission in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Remember it really hard. And then you go to Vietnam and shoot a bunch of people, and then at the end he's like, good that you remember that trip to Vietnam.
Yeah. Sorry. Then,
But after
like this.
Almost
totally, it's like it's that close to being as ham-fisted. And the moment you do that first mission, you then talk to one. If you do talk to everyone in the warehouse, I talked to a guy and he's like, you don't know what it was like in Vietnam. And I was like, yeah, I do. I was there. And he's like, oh yeah, you were there. That's right. Like I knew from the start. I wasn't there.
Yeah, and then, do you want to talk the twist or?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
No. But do you want to?
Yeah. So
spoiler warning again, just in case someone's just joined.
Spoiler warning.
Leave for spoilers for Call of Duty campaign. So you play through this mission. You're pursuing Perseus, and it turns out that the character that you've been playing, Belle. I tried to call myself because you can give yourself a name, and there's like your code name is Bell. So I was like ding dong, and you can't use dong because dong is what's penis. So Ding Dang Bell. So Ding Dang Bell, turns out, was a Russian operative who got shot in the first mission that you play at an airport.
Yeah.
And pulled
You
out of the
actually
car.
see them get shot in the first mission.
Yeah. So then it was that character that got pulled out of the car and then brainwashed effectively by the CIA to be an American operative. Any memories of Vietnam, an implant of Robert Redford.
Because that's all you need to be an American brainwashed. It's just you went to NAM.
And the idea is that they've been trying to get information out of you. But also not let you remember what's gone on. And the way that they as you're going into this mission, there is or maybe no, it's actually just at the end of this mission. So the way that you properly get this revealed to you is you play the Vietnam mission, and like Robert Redford is narrating what you're doing. And I actually liked this mission. I was like, yeah, this is cool. I don't think it didn't go 100% there. It went like 70% there is what I wanted.
It's nothing I haven't seen other video games mess with. They do the thing where it's like his narration is telling you what to do, and then if you don't do it, he's like, you went left.
Yeah, so he's like, you went left. You landed.
You picked up an M16 and you don't. And he goes, oh, maybe it was a different gun.
But then he's like, you went through.
It was all a dream.
Yeah, and he's like, you went through here and you took a right to get to the bunker, and you take a left, and he's like, no, go back and take a right. And then you hear him go, okay, just like I was playing like my character woman, so it's like she's not doing it right. Okay, reload the scenario, and then you go back to the beginning of the thing, and now things are slightly different. And then it's like they've changed the way that instead of your team, you landed with your team. It's like your team have been wiped out, and you're the only person there, and everything's on fire. Like, and then you run it again, and if you don't do what he says, then you go back. And as you keep, and I kept deliberately not.
And is that the act of brainwashing you?
No, So this is them trying to unlock the memory that you have in the bunker of knowing where Perseus is.
Yeah. If you do everything he tells you, you are doing this again.
With a
you are?
But how? Like with a. How are they extracting this information?
They've put a giant.
They've got a giant syringe.
You're lying in bed telling them, but you're playing it through as an experience.
And there's this red bunker door that is like the thing that the metaphor that you need to open to get through. And then as you keep going through, and you're breaking more and more of the like memory, then that door, like he's like, you need to go through that door. That door starts slamming down in the jungle, like in front of you and stuff.
Yeah,
and the level starts changing around you. And I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like, I like what it's doing here. And then you finally have to go through the door and whatever, and you go into this like laboratory thing where
before you get to the crux of it all. It was a cool design mission, yes, but again, playing it on veteran, it was an awful mission for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's like, oh, I just got killed by something random. And like the point of that mission is to move through it quickly.
Yes.
And for me, having to methodically pick off the start is like this really open space with 100 dudes in it. And it's like, this is just really dull. Because I know what you're trying to do, and I'm being stopped by the game from experiencing this at the pace that I need for it to be interesting.
And because you're running a memory, it's like you should have just been impervious to damage. Like you should have just been.
It could have been a great story moment that then they've gone, we just have to let you pull a trigger and shoot people. And I agree. Because it doesn't do it that well, and then it does detract from it being a very, as I said, very Stanley Parable kind of moment where it's like, this is messing with me as a game. I'm enjoying that, and I'm seeing the little moments of brilliance in it. But eventually they think they freeze everyone and you just run through it. Or they fast forward you through it. You're like, I could have used that a few moments earlier.
But then when you get through it, you finally go through the door, and then you sort of you realize what's going on, and then the Robert Redford character, it basically reveals to you everything that's happened. You were this person, we brainwashed you, blah blah blah, and has been using the BioShock Manchurian Candidate phrase.
We've got another job for you. I think.
It's time to get to work. And then you realize, and it flashes back throughout the game of him in sunglasses with a cigarette every single time. It's time to get to work. And you realize, that's actually been this trigger phrase.
Then he's got the sheer gall to be like, so where's the bad guy? Go on the last big mission? And you're kind of like, yes or no. And so there are, I mean, we can choose not to fully spoil everything.
No, fully spoil.
You can then basically follow them to glory and eliminate Perseus, the bad guy.
You either side with Americans.
You side with Americans, or you can choose to betray them and tell them that, and ambush them somewhere else. And I will say that I thought, no, I'm going to play the game that's meant to be played. That's how video games have trained me, Manchurian style. I'm like, I will finish the game the way the developers intended. There's a cutscene before you go on the main mission where they all just there's a monologue from that Robert Redford character who's on an aircraft carrier flicking his cigarette going like, America just does things right sometimes. and they literally slow-mo walk all those stupid generic white action heroes walking onto an aircraft carrier. I don't think the chick character is even there. She's back at base because she couldn't come on that. And I was like, I hate you all. I wish I didn't choose this.
Because you chose side with the Americans and
then played the most uninspired last mission that just kind of ends. And then because any game that requires multiple endings or lots of variables, the ending then has to be like, so this happened with this. This happened with this.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where they go like, there's 50 endings to this game, and there's 2 endings to this game, and then did you do that mission that way? And then it's a line of dialogue over the same piece of like.
Also, we caught all those 3 women agents. Thanks to you. It's literally that. I'm like,
I straight up did not even know what the fuck they were talking about in that. All of those people just blended so much in my mind. I'm just like, who are any of these people? What was this?
Yeah.
But when you saw, I did the same thing. Pete did the same thing. We all sided with the thing. I went back and replayed it, which we all did.
Yeah.
So you and I had relatively different experiences with that, where you want to betray the Americans because you're angry.
You choose to tell them not where the bad guy technically is hiding, and you can give them a false location. You do a different mission in a different location altogether. That is one set of variables. The next variable, I believe, is that you can then choose to radio your Russians and pretend you were with them.
But I never saw that variable.
So maybe you didn't do enough. Find all the intel.
Maybe you didn't do
any.
Did you do any side missions?
No.
So maybe that.
Maybe it's doing those, but. It's weird from a story perspective that's what triggered with that, because you do more for the Americans than the Russians radio in the CIA
that's actually
base.
it, but I'm just saying there's the
it's probably right, and it's a weird device. But basically you're picking America or Russia when you wake up, and if you pick Russia and have obviously done the right things during the story, a radio is calling and there's a countdown of 25 seconds, and you sprint across to it and while Robert Redford's standing next to you, and you go speak in Russian,
Das Vidanya or something,
and then you go boom, and then you go, cool, let's go to that mission we're going to do.
You turn up at the mission and everyone's there. They're like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
What happened in your...
So I was expecting an ambush. I was expecting them to get shot.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's nothing here. You brought us out in the middle of nowhere while Perseus sets off the nukes. And I went, yeah, you're so dumb to trust me. And then Robert Redford just pulled out a gun and shot me. And then I lay on the ground, and they were like, and I hear him talk to whoever, Mason, and go do you want to load the body up? It's like, nah, fuck it, let her rot. And then just walked off. And I was like, oh, that's disappointing. That was the end of the game.
So we got kind of a satisfying ending.
Oh, it was so satisfying. I highly recommend, again, if you haven't...
Don't recommend playing it, but if you...
I reckon...
Yeah.
I reckon
just go back to the main
this is what everyone does, and I think there's still at least a couple of variations of endings we could probably still try. I implore everyone to try that as well. And as I said, this made it all worth it for me, essentially. Biggest spoiler on top of all of that, with 2 levels to it, is that you can choose to then ambush them and give signal for ambush. He goes nah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Russians come out everywhere. They start shooting
stupid.
everyone, and they're like, oh god, and you are on the bad guy's side all of a sudden, and you get to shoot all the agents that come at you. And
slow down time stuff.
Slows every time you hit one of these characters. Mason, Woods. I felt bad for the girl that I actually loved.
Is it like the start of an 80s TV show where they turn around but then they die?
There's a rocket launcher. There's a rocket launcher flash to white, so it pushes them down the map. So
Yeah,
you have to
right.
shoot your way to them, rather than being right in front
But
of
when
you and have a conversation.
when you get one in the crosshairs and pull the trigger, you get Sniper Elite style, single bullet, travels all the way there.
Oh, good.
And then it hits them and they go
Good.
Oh,
that's
and
what I
the
wanted.
game is telling you what have you done? And I'm like, yes!
I even threw the difficulty up to recruit the second time I did it, and sprinted at them and just stabbed them all to death.
That's awesome.
And it was so satisfying.
Okay, I will
kill kill Robert Redford and
so we
everyone.
don't ruin everything for everyone. I still enjoy. I still think there was one weird bit of dialogue that happened in that ending that left me with scratching my head a little bit.
Spoil it. We literally spoiled everything. There's no point to do a spoiler if we
No, but if I watched it, I would have watched this for spoilers, and it's not even that interesting. So I'll just leave it out there and be like, there was one line that made a very confusing, convoluted story that I was like,
No, I know. I assume I know what it is.
Yeah, but
and it was
I feel like
it was
leaving something.
No, it was it's Perseus. After you kill Robert Redford, Perseus goes like, "These stupid arrogant Americans think that Perseus could be just one man."
No, he says, and to think they thought I was Perseus.
Yeah, but he
doesn't
is
talk
Perseus.
about a one-man kind of.
Yeah, he does. He does. He goes that I was Perseus, as if Perseus could be just one man.
person, yeah.
He is Perseus, but Perseus is an idea.
Right. Oh, okay. I thought there might have been a moment of being like, maybe if you go through and do more evidence and find something out, you might find.
He's saying that like I'm Perseus, you're Perseus, because like it's a rogue group of Russians.
Yeah. Okay, right.
It's not the Kremlin saying let's nuke Europe.
Yeah.
It's this group of radicals
that nuke Europe with
American bombs.
that look like Americans did it.
So again, the reason I had more fun with this is because it is shorter. Yeah. Like as a COD campaign, I felt like one of the shorter style ones. So I think that left a less of a sour taste in my mouth. It was like a two-nighter for me kind of thing.
I finished in 2 settings. 3 very quick things. One, the very, very ending of the game, of like the good ending, where you are on the cliff, and you're on the cliff with Robert Redford, and he walks you out on the cliff, and he's looking around, and he's like, it's such a beautiful view, isn't it nice out here? And I'm like, well, someone's going to die right now.
Yeah.
And then literally, wearing sunglasses, smoking a cigarette, flicks a cigarette. Like, I'm not kidding. He fucking flicks a cigarette every cutscene. It's ridiculous.
He does also say, like, that Arctic air, it's beautiful out here. And he flicks it.
Flicks it.
It's the 80s, but come on.
Yeah. And then he turns around and then he's like, I'm sorry, it has to be this way or whatever, and pulls out a gun. And then you pull out a gun at the same time, and you both fire, and it cuts to black before you see what happens. Yeah. So it's like, okay, cool, whatever. It's just dumb. The second thing is that the thing that rubbed me the wrong way in terms of like the morals of this game, and I know it's like a Call of Duty game, but it did have this constant pervasive thing of like, they are the team that do something like
beyond the rules.
We need to break the rules to uphold the rules kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the constant thing is like, like they even attack a guy at one point and threaten to throw him off a roof. And he's like, you Americans have rules. And it's like, no, they fucking don't. That's the whole point of like American imperialism is that they don't actually
they're above
have
all
rules.
their rules.
They think they're above it all.
Yeah.
And the narrative of this story of being like, well, sometimes you just have to break those rules. It's like, motherfucker, every single war you have broken the rules. That's all you do, America, is break the rules and think that they don't apply to you. So it's very strange for this game to take this high and mighty approach to that, where I'm just like,
which again reflects 80s America.
Totally.
The mentality of that, but they don't stick the landing because it just feels like they believe it.
Yeah,
not that they're making
there's no
comments
ironic
on it.
lens, or there's no, as I said, that tongue in cheek isn't there enough to be like, we're self-aware of what we're doing here, and that we are parroting, all those Robert Redford films with a bit of Rambo and a little bit of everything else. Like, I don't want it to go into full-blown parody, but I feel like it needs to push that envelope just a little bit further.
Like, because we keep saying Robert Redford. If you don't know the reference, it's Spy Game, and the thing that the plot of Spy Game, spoilers for Spy Game, is that Robert Redford is basically, it's his last day in the CIA, and he feels like he has contributed over the course of his career to the downfall of a lot of the world, thanks to this pervasive idea that America knows what's best for your country. And he has trained people to do that as well. Brad Pitt is a character that he has trained in his likeness how to do this. He finds out that Brad Pitt has been captured, I think it's in China, and he uses his last day in the CIA to basically manipulate the CIA in very subtle, like, spycraft, cool kind of ways to release Brad Pitt, to get him released, and to finally like do something good with his career, like to contribute to the world. And it's a real commentary on the idea that like the CIA and the tone of America is that we know what's best for you, and he's like, I believed in that and it was wrong. And this
Collectively,
game,
a career in it is not good. Like
totally,
a full
it's
career
not. You are not actually
good.
helping. You are harming. And that this game needed something like that at the end to be that commentary, and it just didn't come, and so therefore that's why, to me, even though it was less like booyah, like yeah, let's go fuck them up, it felt the most out of all the Call of Duties to be like America, because that blindness, I suppose.
Narrative structure-wise as well, the jumps in time with 2 days later, 4 days later, 3 hours later, 20 minutes later, it felt comical by the end. I was like, what? Like, I lost track after the second one, so like, stop this.
Computer is.
Let's go on that way again.
Really,
we're gonna go to calls and
no calls.
Cool.
Late.
So then we should.
It's heaps 10 to 11.
Heaps late. So we should quickly bounce through the fact that the regular multiplayer is there. I've played a little bit of it.
I assume you would be talking a lot about Warzone next week.
I'll move through that really quickly and just be like, the multiplayer is fun. I've kind of had my fill of COD multiplayer, so I might dabble for a little bit more. I want to check out the others modes a little bit more that I mentioned the other day, Dirty Bomb and all that stuff. Zombies is great. Again, they've reworked Zombies to go back to the original with like Die Machina, which is one of the original maps. It is like lost a lot of the crap narrative that was there, where you have heaps of weird characters and bonuses. It's just like you and up to 3 other people just surviving and exploring a map that opens up.
You're a wave mode fiend.
I love the wave modes, and this is back to core wave mode. That's literally all I'll say about it, because I'm going to play more of it and explore that. And then Warzone is still essentially the previous game. I know I mentioned I was a bit curious about how this works. You basically boot up Warzone, it takes you into Modern Warfare, or the Modern Warfare build, and you go straight into that. Rumor is that in the next month or so, we'll have some update to Warzone's map, features, something that maybe tie a bit of Black Ops Cold War into it. That's a rumor I'm speculating from piecing bits together online. So right now, that is still the same game it is, and I will keep playing that, because the draw card is like the multiplayer in
I suppose like they would be eating their own lunch to get people playing. But interesting. Okay.
So, that's the other modes in it. And
and the final thing is that in the PS5, I do really like the triggers. the adaptive controller, all the different feel of those guns and the way, like you spoke about earlier, that works really well in this game. And for me, that was the draw was like trying as many weapons as possible because of that. Let us know what you think about Call of Duty in the comments of the YouTube video. And if you have more opinions, then talk them on the Discord. Head to patreon.com/backpocket to become a member of the community and get access to that sweet Discord love. Discord love? We'll go with that. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Oh, so many games.
It was huge.
It was huge.
Big night.
Huge.
And
the computer can't handle how many games there are. Windows is like, update me.
Fix it.
You've been talking about games for 6 months.
We're literally about to end the...
But we obviously there will be tons more happening over the next couple of weeks as we continue to finish the games that we're playing. A few more come out. Hyrule tomorrow, I think.
Yep.
We got Cyberpunk coming up very shortly. Probably, unless it gets.
We'll definitely jump into that one early. But as we said, something like I think Assassin's Creed, we're all still playing sort of touching what I'm trying to say. Well, we're all touching by an angel. We're all having moments playing that, but there's a lot more game there, so I think we'd like to do a bigger recap of that. Something like the look back we did with The Last of Us Part 2, where we can all bring our thoughts together. We might do that with some other games that just because they're going to be all so big and so long and they're going for
And then we'll also have some Game of the Year stuff, and and then also next month in December we also have some cool stuff lined up in terms of giving back to you guys as well. We've got some very.
I want to do some fun Christmas shenanigans.
Oh, there is some fun. There is an opportunity.
We're gonna buy a little tree.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. That's good. Sure. I bought a tree last year. Remember that little tree?
Yeah, but this time,
a real tree.
This time we have a set to put the tree on, and it'll be great.
That's true. So we are excited about Christmas, and if you're a reviewer of this show, I feel like you could probably get a little bit excited about Christmas as well, and you'll find out more about what that means over the coming weeks. Okay. You should do the Oh, yeah. No, I'll definitely add that as well. A reminder as well that this episode we have been sponsored by PlayStation Plus with the PlayStation Plus Plays Challenge. And this month it is the Ghost of Tsushima. Why can I not say that?
It's Tsushima.
Tsushima.
And it's
Like
ghosts,
Tsunami.
not, isn't it singular, not plural? That was throwing me every time. I was saying ghosts, but
It is
It's
ghost.
one ghost.
It is one ghost.
He is the ghost of Tsushima.
Got it.
Yes,
Got it.
yeah, absolutely. And that challenge is you head to PlayStation.com/PS Plus plays there to find out more about that challenge. You can win yourself a very cool special edition of the game, the mask on a statue head thing, which is very nice. And then the Plus games that are free this month, you've got Middle-earth, you've got the Hollow Knight Voidheart edition, and you've got Bugsnax for the PS5. I'm very curious as to whether...
Weird ending.
They weird ending, I hear. Very curious as to what happens with going forward in terms of like PS5 Plus games each month. Like, because there's got to be something. So next month, I'm excited to see if we get a free new PS5 game, or I don't know.
When are the like Ultimate Series games coming out on the PlayStation 5? Remember it was like
the subscription thing.
Subscription. I thought it was
now.
So you can play Last of Us and all that stuff. That's with the PlayStation Plus. You get those games, or
Yeah. You can go to your.
They can have a couple of months off if you've got that much.
That's true. On the 5, you can actually go there.
And the Ghost of Tsushima, it's your most epic battle?
Yeah, in Legends.
Cool.
The Legends, which is a free download. Have you been playing that Legend stuff?
No, I've been playing Destiny 2.
That's true. That's a fair call. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We have loved having you here. We are happy to be back after the week that we had off, and we're excited to get back into all the games. We'll have a quick post show.
Yeah, let's do a quick post show.
We'll do a very quick post show.
I think even chat wants to go to bed, so it'll be a very nice quick.
It'll just be like a high bar. It'll be a high bar. It'll be a quick suck in and blow out, and we're out of it.
Typical.
We'll be back.